sheets. Headlines fly, but we read past the tweets. If it's news, if it's now, Steve breaks it down. Cause the truth hits different when the facts come out.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Wednesday, January the 21st, 2026. We know you got many choices to make every single day, and we're so grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. We appreciate that. Don't forget about joining our team. You can do so. Cost you one little coin. Go ahead and do that. That helps us with the FYP, helps you gain some credit as well. If you want to join our Discord, it's easy. Just find the link that's in the link tree in my bio. If it doesn't work for some reason, you can either reach out to a moderator or just copy the link, put it in a browser, and it will open in Discord, assuming that you have Discord installed on your device. Don't forget about the Facts merch store. A lot of brand new items exist there as well. You can go there and pick up a new series in the Women Don't Owe You Shit series. Also, if not us, who? If not now, when? Whole variety of stuff. Please go and check that out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate you all. By the way, there's all kinds of links for information that are in the link tree, as well as more information in our Discord, including information about our Do Something tour, which is coming up likely in April. I'll be talking about that as we go. Going to need to lean on our community here to help us out. A lot of people have already offered to either host me or to do whatever around the country, as we probably going to focus on the eastern side of the U.S. From central New York, perhaps south. Although there's pockets of non-voters that exist everywhere. So that's the goal again for us to go out and speak to non-voters and hopefully encourage more people to participate in our democracy. In case you were watching last night, I was able to go to an anti-ICE event in the Burlington area. It was difficult to stream from there because it was like -4 with a wind chill. So I could not keep my phone from dying, but it was a really great turnout. And in typical Vermonter fashion, people up here tend to think a little bit differently. Obviously, we want to encourage a change politically. We want to hold our elected officials accountable. But this event focused a lot on people saying, listen, plan on growing your own food. Make sure you have a cistern for water supply. Are you storing your seeds? Can you brew your own beer? Things like that. So thinking in the true independent spirit of Vermonters, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. It was a great event. I was really glad to be there. Got to spend some time with my boys. They were there. They were loud. It was great. A lot of familiar faces. There was probably 500 people at this particular event. So it was a great event. I would encourage you, if you are in the position where you can be an accomplice, I would certainly encourage it. So again, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. So what I want to do today I've had this thought for a while, and I've been compiling a lot of information since the current administration took charge a year ago, as it relates to the JE files. And this conversation came up yesterday, which prompted us to use this particular prompt. Like, does a camera need to be in the room? We've gone through this exercise. It doesn't seem that science matters. It doesn't seem that court opinions matter. It doesn't seem that witness testimony matters. It doesn't seem that court records matter. It doesn't seem that jury decisions and verdicts matter. It doesn't seem that facts still matter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want to do today is kind of go back in time, and I've managed to compile a lot of information, not only news clippings, but actual audio and some links to interviews that the president and other members of the administration have done, so that we can just disprove the lies that have been told to the American public about the Jeffrey files. And that includes, the entire thing kicked off with promises that the president made prior to becoming the president, and then letters from the from the Attorney General to members of the FBI about releasing all the files. Claims that everything was released, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to spend some time, probably in an hour or so, going through that. And I just want to bring people up to speed. I think it's long overdue. We're not going to let this story fade. That's for sure. We are absolutely not going to let this story fade. As a reminder, there is a gifting goal today. And as has been the case quite a bit. Hold on a second. I've got an issue with my headphones. Okay, that's a little bit better. I have slight deafness in one ear, so I tend to have to balance out the headphones. Anyway, too many rock shows when I was a kid. There is a gifting goal today, so if you guys wouldn't mind helping us get to that gifting goal prior to our restrictions. And we are also crowdfunded. If you want to support the channel, you can do so at Factsstillmatter on the various apps that exist out there in cyberspace. Okay, before we get into that particular topic, we need to revisit that press conference yesterday. like we always talk about, again, the headline, does a camera need to be in the room? This is an example of what more do you need to see to prove that this guy is just lost his shit. 2.5 hours of rambling. I tried to pull out some of the excerpts that I thought were the most telling. There's a few things that I want to talk about first. Okay. I laugh so that we don't cry. There was this glaze fest yesterday or the day before yesterday in the Oval Office regarding affordability of items. So I'm going to play the sound. First, I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to show you the background because this is what's referenced. So this is the chart. You're going to hear Brooke Rollins talk about this chart that she prepared for the president. I want you to focus closely, specifically on milk. Okay, this is the chart that Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture, is showing the president in the Oval Office. This is the chart that she's referring to. Okay, so I want you to listen to this sound, and then we will discuss it. All right, so here you go. Here's the again, the cabinet secretaries are gathered around him. It's almost like it feels in a way that they're gathering around the casket to pay homage. But here you go.
Food prices, bringing them down.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad you asked because I brought a chart, and that just happened to be right behind me. So speaking of milk is actually way down, and I know we're here to talk about that today.
4%.
That's right, sir.
44%. And then she says, that's right, sir. This is the chart that she is showing him. First of all, I can't see anywhere where milk is down even 0.5 point, but she is showing him this chart. Let me play it again so you can hear from the beginning. This is crazy.
Prices, bringing them down.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad you asked because I brought a chart, and that just happened to be right behind me. So speaking of milk is actually way down, and I know we're here to talk about that today. Obviously,
44%.
That's right, sir.
44% down. Milk, 44% down.
Eggs.
Trump literally sits there and says,
That's right, sir. 44%. That's right. You're a good boy. Good boy. The Secretary of Agriculture standing in the Oval Office behind the president because they have to bring up charts because he can't read. So this is the chart they're showing him. This is what they're telling him. They're telling him it's a 0.5% reduction in cost of milk. He says it's down 44% and they can't correct him. So once again, what more do you need to see? The constant fucking glaze. It's embarrassing. It is pitiful. What do you want to call it? Like I don't even know. But that was one. So then I found this clip from like a year ago. Actually, it was a year ago. So he was talking about in advance of him. This was before he took office. So he's talking just a few days. He was the president-elect at this point, okay? He was the president-elect at this point, and this is the claim that he made that we would experience what he's discussing a year from then. So would have been yesterday, talking about energy prices. All right, here you go.
Price of energy and electricity in half. Ready? 12 months from January 20th, to take office on January 20th, your electric bill, including cars, air conditioners, heating, everything, your total electric bill will be 50% less. We're going to cut it in half.
Okay, so let's go to the tape, shall we, Jim? So the claim was that a year ago yesterday, or a year from yesterday, no, let's see, he would have cut electricity by 50% since when he took office to now. Well, I was just curious, and according to BLS and according to our economic numbers, that's not the case. Not only did he not cut it 50%, it's actually gone up. So for a typical U.S. household, the bill in January of 2025 was approximately for 870 kilowatt hours was approximately $139 a month. In this year, so far in the month of January, approximate prices are $1.56 per month. So prices have actually gone up. Not only have they not gone down by 50%, they've actually gone up to 17.9 cents per kilowatt hour from 15.94%. So not only is your milk not down 44%, your electricity costs are up. But all that winning, right? All that fucking winning. I'm so excited to be participating in all this winning. So again, what more do you need to know that he will just sit there and fucking lie to you? What more do you need to know? Honestly, butt eggs. Yes, we can talk about gas prices. We do know that gas prices are down. Regular diesel prices are up. Everything is up across the board. So I've not found any data that says that milk is down. In fact, I've seen milk prices up. And again, the lies that he was ending inflation, again, does a camera need to be in the room figuratively, literally and figuratively. So that's your update on the electricity prices year over year and the price of milk. But okay. So let's talk about some of the highlights or lowlights from that press conference yesterday. Like I said, I found some clips that I thought were the most sort of stunning, I guess, if you will. And then we're going to get into our timeline discussion about how the process of the paperclip moment, if you will. Okay, this was interesting. You know those gigantic paper clips that you put on large stacks of paper? He had one in his hand. Okay.
One accomplishments. And this is something, ooh, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. What, did you hear that? That was nasty. But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened as my finger fell off. That was a nasty, I think somebody did that. I think it was him. It was my man. How were you? You didn't do it. I know you did. I know you didn't. So...
well, apparently we can't give the alpha a paperclip. So I guess we're going to have to add that to the list of things that MAGA men in particular are afraid of. Now they're binder clips or paper clips or whatever. But yep, we're going to have to add that to the list. But some of that's obviously just nonsense, but some of them are pretty disturbing. Here's one. This is again his obsession with the Nobel Peace Prize when he wants to claim that he's not obsessed with it. Here you go.
You not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace?
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars. No president's probably ever settled 1 war.
No, you did not settle 8 wars. I went through that list yesterday, and I'm prepared to do it again, sir.
I don't know. Think of it. I did 8. The reason I do it is because it's easy for me to do. And I didn't do it for a Nobel Prize. I did it because I'm saving a lot of lives. But I feel that Norway has tremendous control over who gets the Nobel Prize, despite what they say.
How would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Why is this prize so important?
It wouldn't improve the lives of any. What improved the lives of people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. You know, if you add up the numbers. So I saved millions of people. So that, to me, is the big thing.
What? Great question by the journalist. How can you winning, or how can you winning the Nobel Peace Prize make the lives of Americans better? It won't. It won't. It won't make the lives of Americans better. It just won't. But I saved tens of millions of lives, even though I didn't end any wars. So let's just revisit that claim just a second, because I want to make sure that we are tracking. Hang on a second. And then I've got another update for you on the Board of Peace. You're not going to believe who is the new attendee, the new enrollee, so to speak, in the Board of Peace. Okay, let's talk about this. Israel Hamas, one of the claims that he made that he ended this particular war in Gaza. Ceasefire, sure, but there were literally bombings over the weekend. So that war didn't end. The Israel-Iran conflict, this might be the only one that you might be, hey, thank you, Swishy Raiders, that you might be able to give him some credit for, but it really wasn't a war. They've been skirmishing for forever. So you send in bombers in the middle of the night and you call it Operation Midnight Hammer, whatever the fuck it was. Again, tensions still exist. India, Pakistan claimed that he stopped war and hostilities between the two nuclear powers. The ceasefire was reached. Pakistan thanked the U.S., but India denied U.S. mediation was decisive and long-term hostility continues. Cambodia, Thailand, or Thailand, as he likes to say, the Cambodia-Thailand border fighting. The claim was ceasefire negotiated between the two following border clashes. The ceasefire initially held, but fighting has since resumed, showing instability. Rwanda, the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the claim helped bring peace talks and agreements forward. The agreement was signed, but fighting persists in eastern Congo and rebel groups rejected the terms. Armenia, Azerbaijan conflict. He claimed that he brokered a peace deal. The status, preliminary agreements reached and transportation ties discussed, but formal peace treaty has not been ratified and relations remain delicate. Serbia, Kosovo claimed that he resolved the long-standing tensions that could lead to war. Status, tensions remain. There was no active war at the time. Most progress predates Trump's term and no full resolution has been implemented. And then Egypt and Ethiopia, the Nile dispute. He claimed that he ended a war over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Status, it's more of a diplomatic dispute over water rights than a conventional war. Mediation efforts have not fully resolved it. So again, what does he expect to get the Peace Prize for? He just wants it. It's the participation trophy. Claiming that he saved tens of millions of lives. Funny, his obsession with the Peace Prize as he's talking about taking Greenland, bombing Venezuela, threatening Iran, unrest at home. Do you get it, MAGA? Do you understand that when you go out and you say things in your lives that, oh, he fucking ended 8 wars, and then we go through the list and we take you through each one, again, MAGA, you guys should be helping hit my crowdfund goal every single day because of the education that I give you. This is the smartest chat on TikTok. They understand this shit. You all need to do some learning, as they say. Again, no wars ended. But the claim is that I've saved millions of lives, therefore I should get the Nobel Prize. I want to go back to that soundbite again because it's just really interesting at the end when he said this fucking bullshit about the lives that he saved. It's just preposterous. Here you go.
You told Norway's prime minister that you not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars.
No, you didn't.
No president's probably ever settled 1 war. I don't know. Think of it. I did 8. The reason I do it is because it's easy for me to do. And I didn't do it for a Nobel Prize. I did it because I'm saving a lot of lives. But I feel...
Okay, I want you to listen to this next part.
...that Norway has tremendous control over who gets the Nobel Prize, despite what they say.
How would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans?
Okay, the question was, how would you winning the Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Again, for those of you in the back, how would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize affect the lives of average Americans?
Why is this prize so important?
It wouldn't improve the lives of any, but what improved the lives of people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. If you add up the numbers. So I saved millions of people. So that to me is the big thing.
I mean, come on. Come on. Okay. Next. This one is fucking wild because he cannot let go of 2020. His little fragile, tiny hands ego cannot let go of the 2020 election. Here you go. And well, this is about, that's not even about the election. I'll save that one for later. This is about unemployment numbers.
Say what the Democrats do all the time. They hire 1 million people and then they hire another million. They load it up and it says, oh, they only have a 3% unemployment rate. It's a fake rate. So with us, we're proud of the fact that we cut so many because...
You're proud of the fact that you cut so many jobs? Okay.
Again, I don't want to cut people.
Okay.
But when you cut them and they go out and get a better job,
Okay.
I like to cut them.
Got it.
And sometimes they have to be forced to do that because, you know, it's like they want to stay where they are. They don't know. And then all of a sudden they end up... We have many cases, Caroline, where people were devastated. They hated Trump. I got caught from my very boring federal job where they had, again, sometimes 10 people to do one job. And they were very upset. And now they ended up with a job where they get paid 3 times more money.
Even though there's no evidence of that at all. Yes, we lost jobs in the federal government. I think the number's around 200,000, but overall we lost 1 million jobs last year, including nearly 100,000 manufacturing jobs. Here's this claim again.
All I have to do is...
It's the Democrats. It's the Democrats that did it. The Democrats apparently hired 1 million people just to get the job numbers to look the way they wanted and then fire them again.
Say like, you know, what the Democrats do all the time. They hire 1 million people and then they hire another million. They load it up and it says, oh, they only have a 3% unemployment rate. It's a fake rate.
It's a fake rate.
So with us, we're proud of the fact that we cut so many because...
We're proud of the fact that we cut so many jobs. Okay.
Again, I don't want to cut people.
Okay.
But when you cut them and they go out and get a better job,
Got it.
I like to cut them.
Got it.
And sometimes they have to be forced to do that
Cool.
because, you know, it's like they want to stay where they are. They don't know. And then all of a sudden they end up... We have many cases, Caroline, where people were devastated. They hated Trump. I got caught from my very boring federal job where they had, again, sometimes 10 people to do one job. And they were very upset. And now they ended up with a job where they get paid 3 times more money.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, in case you had not heard, Machine Gun Lips, as he calls them, Caroline Leavitt, we know is pregnant. And we heard recently that Katie Miller is also with child, Stephen Miller's wife. And we also learned that Usha Vance, JD's wife, is pregnant. My question, though, on that one is like, did Usha fall asleep on the couch? So, you know, I think the timing is a bit, again, gifting got suspended, but you guys can just help me out by tapping and clapping, please. Appreciate you all. You know, the timing is interesting. Sam pointed this out in our mod chat. 39 weeks would have been just a couple of days after that infamous hug, right? Called it a Band-Aid baby. Yes, an attempt to repair the relationship when Erica Kirk was rubbing her hands through JD's hair, right? Yeah, so Caroline Leavitt, Katie Miller, and Usha Vance all pregnant at the same time. Okay, again, nothing to see here. All right, a little bit more from that crazy presser. This one was disturbing. Well, they're all disturbing, just based on the fact that he's losing his fucking mind. Here you go.
Phone was shot, and I felt terribly about that. And I understand both sides of it. But when she was shot, there was another woman that was screaming shame, 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 right? You saw it. So loud. Like a professional opera singer. She was so loud and so professional. She wasn't a woman that was hurt, like, oh, my heart's injured. She was a professional. She's shame, shame. She's screaming shame, shame. I said, that's not a normal person. That's a professional. These are professional agitators and professional people that want to see our country do badly.
What?
But that's not happening because we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, despite this stuff. Look at this.
I don't even know what that was. I don't even understand what it was. I went back and I looked for the sound before. I have no fucking idea what he was talking about. 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. And then you might have heard the report last night that Air Force One had to turn around because there was apparently an electrical issue. And then people had to leave the plane. There was some controversy that people didn't see the president leave the plane, and then they had to board a different jet on his way to Davos for some bullshit that's going to happen today. So I don't know what the fuck that was. I have no idea what that sound was. But wait, there's more. Okay, here you go. He's pulling out the greatest hits. Here you go.
You also took the Gulf of Mexico, and now it's the Gulf of America. Because we have 92% of the shoreline. It always bothered me. I'd say, you know, we have most of the shoreline. Mexico has a small percentage, talks about 8%. We have 92%. And I said, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America. I was going to call it the Gulf of Trump, but I thought that I would be killed if I did that. I wanted to do it. I wanted to. My people work so hard. Sir, I don't think it'll look too good. I'm telling you, it's a good thing. And it'll be hotter than ever, I said. No, but I decided not to do that. I'm joking, you know, when I say that. I was not going to call it the Gulf of Trump. Because tomorrow it'll be, Trump wanted to call it the Gulf of Trump, but he was rebuffed by his people. My people don't rebuff me too much. The Gulf of Trump, that does have a good ring, though. Maybe we could do that. It's not too late. No, we have the Gulf of America now. It's great.
Why was this question never asked early on about how Mexico is part of the Americas? Right? There's North America, there's Central America, there's South America. So our country is the United States of America. So the Gulf of America, you know, I'll prefer to call it the Gulf of Mexico because that's still how it's listed on maps. But did anyone inform him of that? Like, I was going to say, did he think about that? But that's a stupid question to ask. God, Steve, wake up. Okay, here's another one. Here's another little bit of sound. This has to do with Greenland. And this is Mary Bruce from ABC, who I think the president has a crush on because of the way he treats her, but it's interesting. Here you go.
I think something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what gives the U.S. the right to take away that self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
When I speak to them, they'll be thrilled.
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what gives the U.S. the right to take away that self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. Nothing to see here. I think I have a couple more. Yeah, this one's pretty wild. He's trying to blame. Well, you can determine for yourself what he's trying to do here. This is pretty fucking wild. Okay, we did lose gifting, guys. So if you want to support the channel, best way to do it today is through the crowdfund, which is at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you. Sorry, nothing I can do about it. All right, here you go.
You suggested a moment ago that perhaps the reason why a positive story about the economy isn't getting through is because of, bad communications people. But are average Americans wrong to still feel high prices? And how much longer does the White House hope that they?
So I think a lot of people are listening to the fake news a little.
Okay, so this is propaganda, all right, what you're about to hear, even though he's not smart enough or mentally fit enough to be able to understand it, but this is propaganda. So instead of acknowledging the fact that, yes, in fact, prices are up across the board, including electricity, with the exception of gas, everything else, just about everything else is up. Food, away from home food, in-home food, across the fucking board, prices are up. So instead of acknowledging that, he wants to say, well, it's the fake news. The fake news is telling you that grocery store prices are up, not the actual prices in the grocery store. Nope. So CNN and MS Now and ABC and CBS, what they do in the dark of the night, they send their reporters in there and they change the prices and then do a story on it. And then in the morning before the store opens again, they go back and they change the prices back. Cool. So here's his explanation.
Suggested a moment ago that perhaps the reason why a positive story about the economy isn't getting through is because of bad communications people. But are average Americans wrong to still feel high prices? And how much longer does the White House hope that they?
So I think a lot of people are listening to the fake news a little bit, And I'm not blaming anybody. I think I blame ourselves. I think we've done a much better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, you know, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and they don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down, but they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong.
Let's just fact check that real quick, because I'm just curious, and we have data, and this is the whole point. MAGA, does a camera need to be in the room? So if the president tells you that gas prices are down, and here's a little tip for our friends on just the tip. Here's a little tip for our friends on the right. When we talk about things, we discuss them in the aggregate, big word. We talk about things at an average. You can't just look at the prices at your Piggly Wiggly in Little Rock. We have to look at gas prices on the collective. That's how it's always been done. So gas prices now in December is the last number that we had was $3.03 a gallon. At the end of December of last year, they were $3.12 a gallon. So they've dropped by 9 cents. Okay. So they've dropped by 9 cents a gallon compared to last year. $3.13 compared to $3.04. 9 cents. I don't even know if Piggly Wiggly sells gas. But I remember going on vacation with my parents when I was a kid, and I'm like, Piggly Wiggly? That's cool. Why can't we have Piggly Wigglies? Then my father had to explain to me about regional grocery stores, and yeah, I was that kid. So as a reminder, right? As a reminder, you are fine with no health insurance, cutting funding for Medicaid, Medicare, cutting SNAP benefits, spending $150 million so Trump can go golfing, $500 billion or more to acquire Greenland, invading a foreign country by kidnapping their leader, killing 32 or 34 Cuban nationals who were standing guard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're fine with masked thugs cruising around the streets of American cities, murdering in cold-blooded American citizen, detaining U.S. citizens, 170 or more, dragging an elderly man outside in the middle of the night who happens to be an American citizen, detaining an American veteran, a combat veteran, because of 9 cents. $0.09. Again, because of 9 cents. Tear gassing a baby, good call. Again, for 9 cents. Okay. Just making sure we're all on the same page. And I think I have one more for you. No, that about covers it. So you're going to hear now, I'm going to play a couple of sound bites from Howard Nutlick and from Scott Bessent, because it just explain it should. I just want to remind people that when we're hearing direction and advice or don't worry too much, they're telling these people are billionaires. Scott Bessent is a billionaire. Howard Nutlick is a billionaire. These are people that are in Trump's cabinet trying to tell you that there's nothing to see here. Before I play that, you're going to hear from Lisa McClain. Okay, this was she got busted. I want you to hear this because she was able to take advantage of some insider news in regards to her increase in wealth since she's been in office. She's being interviewed on News Nation. This is wild, the deflection here. This is fucking crazy. Listen to this.
Elon Musk's AI company, which is not publicly traded, XAI, in the private market just days before a report had surfaced that the Pentagon was expanding XAI's role in military systems. On our tablet, you guys can flash this up, the periodic transaction report from the Congresswoman. My question for you is, can you assure us, we've covered this issue of, conflicts of interest and what have you. Can you assure us this purchase was not based on any kind of inside information?
Yeah. 100%, because if it was, we wouldn't have bought 100,000 shares. We would have bought a heck of a lot more. But I
Okay, good.
also want to stop you because we don't even have your facts straight on that. It wasn't a publicly traded stock. It was, I think, about 470 million, of which it was a private offering. Of
right, which is that's what I was saying. It's not a publicly traded company, so
which
it was
is
in the
like,
private
oh
market.
my gosh.
Right. But that leads you.
He fact checks her in real time.
The same question would apply whether it's publicly traded or whether it's traded in these private markets about conflicts, potential conflicts of interest. So that's why I'm asking if you could assure us that he didn't know anything about that Pentagon report.
And quite frankly, I think that's a very fair question to ask, especially with all of the insider trading that happens up here. But we got to have our facts straight. I wish, one, we don't have any, the Pentagon doesn't release that information, but I can 100% assure you that we didn't have the insider information.
Wild. Again, does a camera need to be in the room for you to see the fraud? For you to see the corruption? Don't forget, everybody wanted to point fingers at Nancy Pelosi. She's not even at the top of the list when it comes to this kind of shit. And then I noticed that too, right, D? The nervous giggles. Busted, caught, red, fucking handed. Okay, I want to find this sound now from Howard Nutlick. This is one. This is some serious next level glazing. But remember, this guy is a billionaire. Okay, I just want you to hear this. All right.
Americans who don't agree with the president's push to take over Greenland.
Donald Trump has the best intuition of anybody that I've ever met.
What?
And he by far is the best person ever to sit in the Oval Office. He understands things. He does it by intuition. He does it by knowledge, and he does it by experience. So if the president of the United States thinks for national security, the Western Hemisphere is fundamental, I promise you, in maybe a year, maybe in 2 years, and maybe in 5 years, every historian will be writing about how fundamentally right he was.
This has sparked now talk of a big retaliatory tariff from the EU on the U.S., $100 billion potentially. Does this bazooka tariff, I guess is what they call it, have the potential to upend that agreement?
I do not think that there is going to be an upending of any of the trade deals that we have made. I would say Donald J. Trump understands what he wants, and he will talk to them, and they will work it out. And I think the EU trade deal is solid, firm, and will continue.
You are confident in the use of tariffs. You know, though, that the Supreme Court could rule any day now and upend the tariff plan, claiming it's unconstitutional or restricted in some way. What's the backup plan if that happens?
The trade deals that we have made, right? They're autos, they're semiconductors, they're pharmaceuticals. Those things are not in front of the Supreme Court. So I do not think the European deal, the UK deal, the Tokyo, the Japanese deal, the Korean deal, the Taiwan deal, none of these things are going to change.
Again, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Nutlick. His name is Lutnick, but I call him Nutlick because it just rolls off the tongue. Anyway, trying to, educate, inform the American public that Donald Trump has the best instincts of anybody that he's ever seen. The guy who bankrupted multiple casinos. How the fuck do you bankrupt a casino? The house always wins. How the fuck do you do that? And then to say with a straight face that he's got his finger on the pulse and understands the impact. The glazing is just unfucking believable. Okay, I've got a little bit more. In particular, I want you to hear from Scott Bessent before we get into the Epstein timeline, because I think it's important. I'm going to make sure we cover this. But again, somebody who's so fucking out of touch. Okay, being asked questions about retirement. Okay, this is a guy who is a multi-billionaire, and I want you to hear what he has to say about retirement. Okay, here you go. This is great.
Guidance at some point to see what is a mom and pop that someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, about 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to push everyone else out.
What was that?
We are going to give guidance at some point to see what is a mom and pop that someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, about 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to push everyone else out.
Okay, that's good to know. That's really good. That's really good to know. That's why we see every single day moms and pops working as Walmart greeters, or people not able to retire. Or what we actually see is mom and pop moving in with their kids because they can't afford to live anymore. Because they can't afford food. Because they can't afford to retire. Who owns 5 or 10 or 12 homes? You're right. To say out of touch is an understatement, is the ultimate understatement. How can anybody sit there with a straight face and think that you're appealing to the middle class? But again, doesn't matter what the data tells us. Doesn't matter what the science says. Doesn't matter what anyone says. It's just what MAGA wants to believe. What they're told to believe. And we get into this whole debate about all this kind of stuff all the time. And the latest is the Epstein stuff. Like, we could talk about this, and we're going to get into it. They're violating federal law, right? This is what's happening. The Epstein Transparency Act was signed into law by the president on the 19th of November. And we know what the language is. I'm going to read through the Epstein Transparency Act again for you guys so that you know exactly what's in it, just as a reminder as to what the expectation is. And here we are. Here we are. It doesn't matter. The defense now from the right is sue. People should just sue then. It doesn't matter. There's always a deflection. There's always some kind of pivot. There's always some kind of excuse. Well, people can just sue. Who the fuck are we going to sue? Who do we sue? We're going to just collectively, like a class action lawsuit against the federal government? Just sue. Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, okay, I've got a few more things I think I want to get to before we get into the breakdown of the Jeffrey stuff. Did I do this one? Yeah, I played that one for you. I think I got most of those covered. Let me just check my notes here. Everybody keep tapping, please. Like I said, the gifting was suspended again. Let me see if I have that right. Yep, got that covered. Got that. Played that one for you. Okay, hang on one second. Here's one more. This kind of feels like a 3-year-old holding the nuclear codes. Just here's some more sound from our fearless leader.
That Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize. They're just kidding. They have a board, but it's controlled by Norway, and I don't care what Norway says. But
I don't care what Norway says. Nope, don't give a shit. Don't care. Don't care what Norway says. Not interested in what they have to say. Because, yeah, they have a board, but they don't have a board. Yeah, they have a board, but the country decided. So I'm going to write a letter to Norway and call them out and let them know, Norway, because you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, Norway, I'm going to take territory that belongs to Denmark. But he's totally fucking stable. Totally stable. Here's one more piece from Howard Nutlick before we get into our conversations today. Here you go.
Do solar and wind. Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries. Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural gas. Electricity and electric cars make perfect sense to them.
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it, and they care about it, and I'm going to leave it to them to address with our allies, with our friends, and with everyone how they work it out. But the Western Hemisphere matters to the United States of America, and the United States of America, as I've just articulated, really, really matters to the world. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them, God forbid. And so I think America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address.
Right.
The world is loud.
The rest of us, I think, are finding it harder to make that kind of separation, clearly.
So we talked about this a bit yesterday, about how we have numerous treaties, right, with Greenland, Denmark specifically. We have numerous treaties with them that allow us to have, at one point we had, I think, 17 military installations within the borders of Greenland, so to speak. And I think we're down to one. Part of the treaty gives us the ability to have as many troops there. I don't even think there's a cap. Whatever we want, right? We don't have to invest. We don't have to spend $700 billion. We don't have to use the military to take it. If the claim is that it's national security, right? Denmark is a NATO country, which means that if China or Russia attacked Greenland, they would be attacking NATO. Okay? So part of Trump's desire to create this new board of peace, and I mentioned to you this earlier, that now Bibi Netanyahu, the war criminal, the G-sider, Bibi Netanyahu has been invited to join the board of peace. This is an attempt to fracture NATO and fracture the UN. Think this through, okay? If that works, if Trump and the Trump administration, fueled by Project 2025, if they're successful in eradicating and eliminating NATO and thus the UN, then there's no threat for Vladimir Putin to take whatever country he wants, because there is no more NATO. There is no more UN Security Council. This is what this is about. It's got nothing to do with national security. Nothing what to do with national security whatsoever. Similarly in Venezuela, it's got nothing to do with drugs. It's got nothing to do with oil. It's literally about rebalancing the entire world to appeal to autocrats. Xi Jinping gets a section, Vladimir Putin gets a section, and the United States gets a section. I mean, everybody makes money. The democracies crumble. The United States becomes isolated. Europe becomes vulnerable to Russian invasion. Although we saw what happened in Ukraine, the Russian military ain't shit. There's no fucking way in hell that China becomes a military threat, because they want the economic advantages that the United States has because of all of our allies, our trade partners. What's been happening while Trump's been getting glazed by his cabinet talking about the price of milk? Xi Jinping's been talking to Mark Carney in Canada. Xi Jinping's been talking to world leaders in Europe, France, and others, right? Saying, listen, we could be reliable. And you know what's happened? The entire time for the last 25 years, China has been building up their supply chains so that they can be ready to fucking pounce. And here we are. And you know who some of the biggest investors are in China? It'd be people like Elon Musk and Scott Bessent and Howard Nutlick and people in his cabinet and the Trump family wanting to invest in property in Beijing. This is, again, I'm glad I'm right. We've been right about this all along. We've told you follow the money. There's no other reason to do it. There's no other reason to do it. It doesn't do it. It advantages no one. It doesn't advantage an American citizen. It doesn't advantage the poor in our country. It doesn't advantage anyone except the rich and powerful. We did this breakdown earlier this week where I forget what the numbers were, but there's now 4,000 billionaires in the world. 4,000. And they have increased their wealth by like $15 trillion in the year since Donald Trump's taken over. It's global. And MAGA, you guys don't see it. But gas prices are down 9 cents. Woo! Woohoo! You see that? We're rounding up all them brown people. Woohoo! Do you not care? You literally are celebrating the things that you thought you voted for, and you are getting fucking screwed because this administration knew that they could just lie to you. They could lie to you, and you would buy it. Don't believe anything you see. Don't believe the science. Don't believe the maths. Don't believe jury testimony or jury verdicts. Don't believe witness testimony. Don't believe court records. Don't believe testimony. Don't believe intellectuals. Don't believe the news. Don't believe any of it. The figurative camera in the room. Don't believe any of it. Just let us tell you what you should believe. Sasha Riley. Don't believe any of that. Just believe what we tell you to believe. And here we are. Manipulation of the stock market, fueled by billionaires. Every single time there's stock manipulation, who benefits? The people with capital. Who suffers? The rest of us. The stock market is not a game that all of us play. It's played by the fucking rich, okay? The reshaping the new world order, so to speak, has one intention and one intention only, and that is to make the rich richer. Period. Full stop. There's no fucking debating it. I'm not going to listen to Trump's Davos speech. I'll just play the sound tomorrow. Don't care. Do any of you give a shit about any of this? Do any of you care? We're up here every fucking day. I am fighting for you. The people who are sharing this news and remind you every single day as to who's getting fucking screwed. We are up here trying to bring some awareness to you so you can stop being just simplified, if that's even a word. Should be. I like it. You've got to pay attention because the people that are being harmed the most, by and large, are some of the most devoted Trump supporters. Here it is. Here's the fucking game. It's right in the playbook. It is Project 2025. It is the reshaping of the world. It's about remigration. It's about racism. It's about bigotry. They're gonna use all that to fuel your anger, so they can make you so fucking pissed so you can cheer it on. Justification of Jonathan Ross murdering Renee Good in the streets of an American city, so that they can make more money. Telling you that the Somalis are committing all this fraud in Minnesota while they're ripping people off right behind you. They're picking your pocket while they're pointing at the Somalis and Tim Walz and everybody else. But meanwhile, they are committing fraud at record scale every fucking day. Every day. Every day. And people on the left are saying, listen, all we want is healthcare. That's it. All we want is a tax system that benefits us and not the richest among us. All we want is an improved social safety net. All we want is better access to education, affordable college. People in this country got freaked out because Joe Biden wanted to forgive some student loan debt. Student loan debt. I'm waiting for our financial aid package from USC. University of Spoiled Children, as it's known, but that's not us. In fact, my daughter and I were joking about it last night. Again, People lost their fucking mind on the right because Joe Biden wanted to forgive student loan debt. And here you guys are saying, well, that's a bridge too far. We can't do that. But let's go buy Greenland. Let's advocate for the president taking more golf trips. Let's reshape the world order so our allies fucking hate us. 96% of tariffs since Liberation Day has been paid either by American importers or by us. But student loan debt, but Medicare, Medicaid, but healthcare, but education, but fascists roaming the streets of American cities. Do you understand this, MAGA? Like, I can tell you right now, I can guarantee you none of you give a flying fuck about any of those things. That's why we're the ones that are fighting for it. I am fighting for the truck nut guy. I am fighting for the truck nut guy's family. I am fighting for the most hardcore MAGA there is to make sure that they have health care, better education, a better tax code that benefits us, more access to capital, more access to affordable housing, a better future so our work is respected, so we're not working till we're 90 and then fucking dying, so that you can retire in dignity. That's what we're fighting for. That's it. And for people who don't vote, we're fighting for you too, to remind you what the fuck it is that we're talking about here. But again, you have been told all these things, and they're all fucking lies. All of it. The entire house of cards is built on a fucking lie, and you don't seem to care. It's either that or you've been so primed and conditioned that the only thing you can believe is what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, or you don't care. Could be both. Yeah, I know he's lying, but I don't give a fuck. I hate brown people. I hate gay people. I hate women. That tracks. It's fucking wild to me. So wild that here we are a year later and it's still the same thing, and it's just getting worse. And he is sundowning every single day, and he's getting glazed, getting glazed, getting glazed. 9 cents. 9 cents a gallon. 9 cents. I'm going to play our PSA real quick. I just got a little notification. I'll take that opportunity to take a quick break. Give me 1 second.
TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guests or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only. We now return you to our regularly scheduled pandemonium, already in progress.
Sorry. Again, it's just this. Hold on. I don't know if it's like I wouldn't call it a fantasy, but it's this reality that so many people are living in now. I heard a live yesterday when someone was trying to blame the Biden administration for 300,000 missing kids. We heard about that. We've heard about that. We still hear about it. 300,000 missing children. Even though we know what the story is, not missing. Even though we know, and I'm not defending, I'm not going to sit up here and defend the Biden administration's approach to immigration. I think they did a shitty fucking job. I really do. But they're all fucking lies. So the pushback is, well, if you truly care about kids, then why are you not demanding the release of the Jeffrey files? And their answer is, well, they should just sue. don't care about anything that you claim to care about. You don't give a shit about any of it. You literally don't care about any of it. You just want to sit in your little confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance space and spank it because Trump told you to. You get off on these press conferences. You get off when Pete Hegseth saber rattles and talks about warrior ethos, the Department of War, and you celebrate it. And you watch videos of ICE knocking down doors and grabbing brown people out of their cars and diminishing the marginalized communities in our country and laughing at people and putting clown makeup on Renee Good, who was fucking murdered by an ICE agent in Minneapolis in cold blood. We all fucking saw it. We know exactly what it was. Exactly what it was. When we explain the use of force policy and how that particular individual violated it at every turn, you're like, well, it's justified because the car was a lethal weapon. Even though we look at the video and we can clearly see she turned to the right. Because if she was headed at him when he shot her, the car would have continued at him. But again, nothing to see here because 9 cents. 9 cents. I'll say that again for those of you in the back. 9 cents a gallon. That's it. Okay. Everybody keep tapping, please. Don't forget we are crowdfunded here. Let me just check in. By the way, last night at that event, it was great because there was a lot of there was a large, well, Vermont's not the most diverse state, obviously. Diverse in age, for sure. Diverse in backgrounds. There was all kinds of people there. It was really, really cool to see. Again, there was probably 500 people at that facility last night, which was amazing. It was cold as shit. For me to say that is a lot. It was like 7 degrees, and when the wind was howling, it was probably like 5 or 6 below with the wind chill. But 500 people out there, I just could not keep my phone warm. But it was good. It was really good to see because people are just standing up. Right? We're finally starting to see people to respond. And a lot of that conversation last night was not about, we can't vote our way out of this. And I agree that we can't vote our way out of this, but that is one thing that we can do. I don't want to diminish the fact that people need to be registered to vote. People need to make sure that they have their election plan. And as we get closer and closer and closer to midterms, I know that there are special elections happening as we speak. We will continue to push on that narrative, and that's part of the mission for the Do Something Tour. So in case those of you who don't know, my plan is to go on the road for a month, likely in April. And I want to travel to, I have at this point in my head, how it's manifesting is literally just pull up on events, find out what's happening here, asking questions. You ain't going to do a damn thing. Okay, fly skimmers. Okay, cool. Good to know. Appreciate that. I appreciate your support for democracy. Anyway, hopefully I can find somebody. We've been talking about getting some like representation, like somebody who can help us coordinate these events. It's like going to a VFW or going to a bowling alley or going to wherever. Again, using my privilege, right? And just having conversations, people, like, what do you care about? Like, I don't want to make it political. I want to make it ideological. Like, what are the things that you care about? Who are the people in your community that are running for office? What do they stand for? Can you support that? Remove the whole the political affiliation. No R, no D, no liberal, no conservative, no progressive, no MAGA. Just talk about things that matter. Because there's 45 million or more American citizens, who checked out on democracy. They just don't feel like anybody is looking out for them. They've almost become apolitical. They're not plugged in like we are. They're not paying attention to things that president says from the Oval Office. They don't even know probably people who are in his cabinet. They may not necessarily know that that billionaires are now setting economic policy, right? So those are the conversations I want to have. We're going to have to lean on this community. We're going to need to have some crowdfunding support. We're looking for sponsors. A lot of people have been gracious with their offers about, they've got a spare bedroom or whatever it might look like. I've got friends have offered, an RV for travel, all kinds of stuff. So we're putting the pieces together. So be on the lookout. We're likely going to start in the Northeast and probably work through central part of the U.S., like from the Mississippi River east. Going to do this as a proof of concept for a month, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So everybody, please stay engaged. There is a Do Something channel within our Discord. So if you wouldn't mind heading on over there and joining that, so you can kind of be up to speed. There's also an Instagram page dedicated to Do Something. We'll get there. Got a lot to do, but we'll get there. Okay, I've got a couple of people who have requested. I will bring some folks up, and we can talk a bit more. Wow, it's Q. Good morning, Q.
Good morning to you. Well, that was fast. Hello, everybody. I'm the moderator of this live. Oh, he's back.
What's on your mind?
Well, I want to interview you instead of the other way around. Can we do that?
It depends.
On?
Let me see how your first question goes.
Okay. Are you racist?
No. Oh, yeah, I am. By being a white man in America.
I just need a yes or no. I don't need a whole shebang.
My guy, this is not your live. Okay? This is not your live, right? So
you agreed to the interview, sir.
But this is not your live. Okay. Yes, by being a white man in America, yes, I am inherently racist. Yes.
Perfect. So what have you done to reduce your racism?
Education, spending time in spaces that are represented by marginalized communities and just sitting in there and listening and paying attention. How about you?
So you sit and listen to get rid of your racism?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's an educational process. Hey, let me ask you a question now. Okay, let me ask you a question now.
You're on the hot
What did you have for
breakfast, boy?
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Pussy.
Nobody cares. Yep. Gotta love it. Gotta fucking love it. It's typical MAGA. You know what, though? I'm up here fighting for his health care. I'm up here fighting so he can be respected with proper pay based on his labor. I'm up here fighting so that he can have a decent retirement. I'm up here fighting so that if he does have kids, which I hope he doesn't, that they have access to higher education that's affordable. Right? Yeah. But again, you want to lean in on your hatred towards people. That's fine. And yes, as a white man in America, I am inherently racist. No doubt about it. My journey to unpack that is one thing to say you be against racism. You need to be anti-racist. So I try to learn. I do the best I can. I'm sure I fuck up. I'm sure I've got blind spots. That's the whole fucking point. That's the whole point, right? That is the whole fucking point. I will never, ever, ever, ever say that I'm an ally. I will hopefully accept an invitation if someone's in a marginalized community sees me as such, but I will be an accomplice and I will earn it. But that goes for any white person in our country. We're all inherently racist. That's how it works because the system is built by people who look like me in particular to benefit people who look like me. And what's worse, to protect people who look like me. That's the goal. Go to marginalized spaces. Go to spaces in TikTok that are hosted by black creators, especially black women, and just sit there and fucking listen. Don't comment. Don't request. Just listen. Listen to learn. You're not going to get it right. It's not going to be perfect. You're probably going to feel uncomfortable, but good. Good. That's the point. They often talk about how the most amazing opportunities for growth are like literally on the other side of the door of fear, right? If you can get through the door of fear, and fear oftentimes is made to be, if you're made to feel uncomfortable, or if you feel like, Jesus, I never even thought of it that way. That's how we grow. That's how we grow. Okay? So I want to make sure that people are aware that, and don't feel embarrassed by it. To acknowledge the fact that you live in a system that benefits you based on the color of your skin. And don't be afraid to admit that, yes, you are, as a white man in America in particular, white women in America, don't be afraid to admit that you are inherently racist. That's how it fucking works. That's how it works. If you want to learn, then ask questions. I've had conversations with some of my black friends on this app that I'm like, is this weird for me to say? And they'll be like, yeah, don't say that. I'm like, okay. That's how we fucking learn. That's how we fucking learn. I don't understand why it's so hard for people just to be like, I live in a system that I get benefited from because I'm white. That is the epitome of white privilege. Doesn't mean your life wasn't hard. Doesn't mean you didn't have challenges. Doesn't mean you grew up with nothing. It just means that you started at third base. So learn from that. Hopefully people can. All right, let me just check in over here. I have a request. And then we'll jump into our breakdown of the e-files today. Hey, Tom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Steve.
How are you? I'm
cold.
Okay. Thanks for being here.
It's
Yes.
cold.
Yes.
Like, it's cold. So I was just in here and you were talking about, we can't vote our way out of this. I mean, it's one thing that we can do. My concern is the SAVE Act.
Oh, yeah, I was going to talk about that too. Yep.
Because my daughter's getting married this year, and it's, she's not a political person. She's, we can talk, but she doesn't. So, do you get your papers in order? Because, I was married. I never changed my last name, but in my divorce papers, it says I can use my maiden name, in my divorce decree. So do I have to carry all these papers around, or should I start now and legally go through Social Security and get my name changed back to my maiden name? It's no big deal for me, but what do we do with all these, young people that are getting married this year that they're going to take their, fiance's last name? I don't know what the answer to that is, because the SAVE Act is very, very vague as to this is what you have to do now. We've passed this. This is what we have to do. This is what you have to do in order to vote. And if you don't have it, are you going to be turned away?
I don't have an answer for that. I am not the person to ask. I was going to get into what it is and the fact that it just recently passed. I would say, just at the surface, it seems like people should just keep their name, keep their maiden name. I hate the fact that it's still referred to as maiden, but keep your legal name, your birth certificate name, so to speak.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And when you say, go into spaces just to learn, when you make the decision that you've learned all that you need to learn, you haven't learned enough.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
That's all. Stay warm.
Thank you, friend.
Stay warm.
Appreciate you. Same to you. Yep. See you later. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yeah, so the official name is the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, H.R. 22 in the 119th Congress, sponsored by Chip Roy. Main goal would be to amend the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 so that only U.S. citizens with documentary proof of citizenship can register to vote in federal elections. It was introduced on January 3rd of last year. The House passed the bill in April, and it's in the Senate signed it as well. So I think the issue specifically is that, first of all, for people trying to spend time trying to understand that this is, again, an assault on women, quite frankly, I don't know if there's a better way to summarize it. It's just conservatives and the Christian nationalists in particular are deathly afraid of women. And I think that's what I would like to say to the queens that are in the chat today, right? there are factions within our government who are deathly afraid of you. They are absolutely afraid of you. They do not want you to have power. They do not want you to have standing. They do not want you to be in a position where you have any type of authority at all, which is why they hate you. You're right, Susie. They hate you, which is exactly why, and again, Amber, you're right, as they should be, which is exactly why they're going through these lengths to try to make it impossible for you to even have a voice. It's the same Christian national beliefs that one house, one vote, right? And we've seen many conservative women, and we went through that exercise a couple of days ago about how we've got these groups within our country, like why do white women continue to vote for conservatives? You know, why do poor people, you know, why do members of the LGBTQI, especially gay white men, why do they support this movement? There's a variety of reasons, and I won't break that down right now, but you know, it's an issue. It's a strong issue that I think unless people are more engaged in the electorate, right? More engaged and more willing to say enough's enough. So my call to the queens that are in here, especially the white queens that are in here, y'all got to get in front of your fellow queens and remind them what the fuck's at stake. I can't speak to them. I'll do my best, but I need you to do it. I'm going to take care of white men as best I can. And I need other white men in the fight with me to say, okay, if you care about this shit, then what about the women in your life? Because they are being fucking diminished every fucking day. Now they don't even want to be given the right to fucking vote. Women in America have only had the right to vote for what, 100 years? 1920? 19th Amendment? So where are the white queens? What the fuck are you going to do? Are you going to get in the faces of other white women and say, do you understand that it's people who look like us that put Donald Trump in the fucking White House? Do you understand that? Are you willing to accept the fact that, yeah, we are partly responsible for him being in the White House, you know, the predator in chief? Do we have to continue to ask black women to do it? Every fucking time they step up. Why should they again? Why should they? I wouldn't, but they will. I mean, there's no way in hell I would, but I guarantee you they will. What do they get out of it? More the same. They get increased violence against their communities, medical malpractice, medical racism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The burden falls to us. Where the fuck are you? And when, if it's not us, then who? If it's not now, then when? Seriously. Enough. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Well, I'm just doing the best I can, but in response to the last guest, in Tennessee, they passed where you have to have a real ID. I don't know if that's nationwide. I think it is. It's called the Real ID, and it's got a star on it on your it's like a driver's license. Your driver's license has to be. It's a real ID, not just your state issued ID. It has to be this specific ID. So in order to get that, you have to have every single paperwork of every time your name has changed. If you've been married before, if you have been divorced, if your name changed after the divorce, if you got remarried and your name changed again. So I had to get all that paperwork in order. You can't fly without a real ID. You're not supposed to be able to travel without the real ID. You can't get a passport without the real ID. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, again, I think it's just based on what we just discussed. It's just an attempt to diminish women even further. But
yeah.
But thanks for jumping in today.
When I went to get it, the woman was extremely rude to me and hostile with me. And then my partner went to get his, and they were just like, "Oh, here you go, sir." And the difference was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. He made a comment, and he was on the edge, pretty conservative until all of the last bit that's been going on, and he's just like, I don't even know what to think. He's like, he's more liberal / progressive now than ever, but he was like, I can't believe the way they treated you, and versus the way they treated me. He's like, I don't even know.
It shouldn't. Again, none of these things should surprise any of us, right? The point is that these are the things. These are why we have to pay attention. But thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you for being your friend. Thanks a lot, Emily. All right, I'll talk to you later. Take care. Be good. Be safe out there. There's a lot connected to the SAVE Act, and I want to have some time to kind of go through it. It's passed the House. It's in the committee in the Senate. I don't want to spread any misinformation. I want to make sure that we have our facts in a row. So I'm going to play a little bit of sound from just got this because Trump is speaking in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. Let's see what he has to say.
Here. Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion.
We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the U.S. is asking for is a place called Greenland. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Meanwhile, we're, no healthcare, mortgage bankruptcies are up, et cetera. Good. It's good though. Tranquil, how are you today?
Hi, good morning, Steve. Just super quick, I just wanted to correct a few things I saw in the comments and that the guest might have said. So you don't need a real ID to fly, but there might be a fee to go through some extra security screening. And you don't need it to vote in any state.
I think that's my impression as well. Thank you for that. I think the concern is this 100%. Becomes a precedent for states to change their laws about voting. That's
and for anyone in the comments that is, if you need to renew your driver's license, I think you need to get one. I just did it. It is a hassle. You do need a lot of documentation. I had to go to the bank and get my birth certificate, my social security card, because if they truncate it on any of your W-2 forms, can't use that. It's got to be the full social security number. So for anyone getting it, keep that in mind. It is definitely a hassle to get. That's all though. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate you. You too. Be safe out there. Yeah. Again, this is the danger of, reacting emotionally to certain things. We just got to make sure that we have it right. I do not want to be the person who spreads misinformation. I'm not making any accusations. Just want to make sure we address that. That's my concern, right? As it sits now, sure, but the precedent that it could potentially set is the part that makes me the most nervous. Again, to summarize what I said earlier, it's because they're afraid of women. It really is, in my opinion. So what are you going to do with that, Queens? What are you going to do with that? I would say if they're afraid of you, make them be very afraid. Make them be very afraid. Run for office. Run for a seat in the school board. Run for representative in your district or your city council. Be fucking loud. Be fucking loud. That would be my recommendation. Be loud. Be heard. Be a real pain in their ass. Leftist, how are you today?
Good. How about you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Have you heard the new MAGA talking point on their lives that no brown people have been deported or arrested?
What? Who would they be deporting?
It is because in the government classification, there is no classification for brown. So they're classified as white Hispanic.
Yeah, okay, sure. Of course, that's what they're going to say. Of course, but yet at the same time, Tom Homan has gone on the record saying, "Oh yeah, we can use characteristics to target people." Yeah, what would those characteristics be?
But I was I sit on the outside of the live, so they don't get credit for me watching. But it was like 3 or 4 different lives last night that I heard that.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Anything to deflect away from the truth, right? Thanks for letting me know that. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
All right, thanks. Okay, let me just check in with. Did I miss something, Sam? All right, I'm gonna read this real quick. A real ID. Hang on a second. A real ID is a state-issued driver's license or ID card that meets stricter federal security standards, marked by a star, and is required starting May 7th, 2025 to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities, with alternatives like U.S. passports still accepted. To get one, you must apply at your state's DMV and provide documents proving your identity, birth certificate, passport, social security number, card or W-2, and residency, a utility bill or release. Again, a real ID is a state-issued driver's license or ID card that meets stricter federal security standards marked by a star and is required as of last May to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities, with alternatives like U.S. passports still accepted. To get one, you must apply at your state's DMV and provide documents proving your identity, birth certificate, passport, social security number card, W-2, and residency, utility bill, or a lease. So again, thank you for that, Sam. Appreciate that. Okay, I think we've got one more guest and a couple more. I want to get through these guests and then we'll clear the box potentially, and we'll spend some time talking about what I wanted to get to today. Because again, apparently a camera in the room is the only form of evidence. Hi, Kels. How are you? Kels? Kels, are you there? Kels? I guess not. You can come back if you'd like. And then one more.
Hi, Steve.
Good morning. How are you today? Hi.
I'm doing fine. Just going to talk a little bit about the perspective that, as you know, Steve, I'm in Europe. The perspective that we're getting from what Trump is basically saying right now. When he's saying that the U.S. has never asked for help and has never asked for anything.
It's crazy.
While all of the countries in NATO ran to help the U.S. after 9/11, that's a punch in the gut to the entire continent, because every single one of these countries have people that have unalived in Iraq, they have unalived in Afghanistan, basically for helping the U.S. So
based
going
on
to the
based on lies too, and then based on lies, WMDs. Yep, you're right.
So the perspective that goes to the outside is literally that he's spitting on our faces. He's literally saying that I'm going to ignore everything that you guys have done to help the US, and it's the perspective is, it's literally, we don't like this at all.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I mean, it's embarrassing every single day. You know, it's really, really, it's embarrassing. I mean, I can't think of another word to describe it. It's probably, understating what it actually is, but it's pretty much embarrassing.
So,
yeah,
we know in Europe that there is a lot of good American people. We're trying our very best to help, but people need to be aware of the message that Trump is passing to the outside. And yeah, it gets to a point that European leaders are talking about unleashing literally the financial bazooka, let's call it like this, which is literally dumping the billions of US debt that is in European hands and crushing the American economy this way.
Correct. Yeah.
We don't want to do it.
I know, but it's nothing that you have a right to protect your own, economic best interests, of course. Right? Of course. But again, we know the people who take advantage of it. It's the people who've got capital, people who will buy up that debt. That's exactly how it works. That's part of the plan. But thank you for jumping in today, friend. Again, I'm sorry on behalf of those of us who care.
And to give good news to balance this one, I've survived the first presentation of my PhD project this Monday, and people liked it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That is
people liked it a lot, including people from the health ministry here who are having an eye on what I'm doing. So hopefully in 3 years, we're going to make millions of cancer cases more accessible to research, which is the really, really, really important thing for me. Is that it will allow hopefully for population level research that is safe. That's
I love to hear
what
that.
we like. And for a different perspective for people that might distrust, thank you guys, might distrust researchers. Literally what I am doing is finding a way to have a safety wall, a privacy first safety wall that protects patient privacy, but enables researchers to use data that is extremely valuable in medical research and in cancer research. I ain't rich. Like literally, the joke is like, if you want to be rich, you don't go to research because it's the opposite.
That's incredible. No, as someone whose cancer has touched my family so many times in so many ways, I thank everybody who's committed to eradicating such a horrible disease. So thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
At the beginning of this series, that's dawned upon me the twisted things of destiny. A year ago, I lost 2 family members to cancer. A year later, I am actively working into improving research on cancer.
I love it. Thank you so much for what you do. I appreciate you very, very much. Thanks again, and congratulations.
Steve, again, if you need outside perspective, you're always free to send me messages.
I will take you up on that. Let's get through this next week after this bullshit meeting in Davos, and I might in fact ask you to come back up. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Be safe out there. And congratulations.
Stay strong, people.
You got it. See you later. Take care. That's fantastic. I just want to do a little bit more. My mod team is working hard. A little bit more fact checking here. Let's see. More than 94% of travelers, this is in regards to the SAVE Act, more than 94% of travelers have been in compliance. The Transportation Security Administration reported in December the remaining non-compliant travelers liable to be turned away at TSA security checkpoints will soon have a new option to continue through and to their flight. On February 1st, the TSA Confirm ID will roll out. If you don't have a real ID compliant form of identification, TSA recommends completing the optional TSA Confirm ID process before arriving at the airport. You'll be asked to input biographic and or biometric information to confirm your identity and that you are not on a secure flight watch list. The agency previously explained. Got that piece covered. In addition, you'll also have to pay a $45 fee, which is meant to cover verification of an insufficient ID. After completing the confirm ID process and paying the fee, you'll receive a receipt to show at the TSA checkpoint. Once there, you'll undergo additional ID verification, screening measures, and potential delays. If you don't have a compliant real ID and have not done the confirm ID process, TSA says you will, quote, be subject to additional delays, which may result in a missed flight. So read ahead, I guess, is my advice. Minors, I don't know about minors. I figure we'll have to probably have to figure that out too. That would probably be additionally problematic, especially if minors have maybe dad's last name and not I don't know. I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, but okay. Hang on a second. What's going on here today? I think it's because I'm sick. That's why I'm not hearing things very well. All right. I know minors don't need ID, but I think it could become problematic, right? I don't know how that works. Well, minors need ID when it comes to a passport, right? All right. What I want to do is I want to kind of go back and revisit a lot of the claims that were made initially by the president during his run-up to the election, specifically in regards to the e-files, okay? So I want to start with some claims that were made in advance of the election about promises that he made that he was going to do certain things as it pertains to releasing the Epstein files. So I'm going to start there. And this is an interesting soundbite because you're going to hear not two versions of it, one version of it, and then the version that Fox News played, and then the versions that was played to the public. So this was an interview that he did in advance with Fox, and what the claims were that he was going to release a series of files. So I'm gonna pause it after the spot where Fox did the selective editing, because of course Fox News would never do anything like that.
Now and has since.
Hang on one second. Let me get this taken care of. Hold on a second. All right, I'll pause that right there. Pause that right there, and I'll play this for you. Okay, here you go.
So, if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
Okay, that's where the edit for Fox stopped. Yeah, I would. Okay, that's where the edit from Fox stopped, which is damning now in hindsight because, of course, they haven't released everything. And then the interview actually continued.
Yes, I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera.
Remember that.
But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would.
So if you were...
Okay, remember the piece about the cameras, and we'll get into that in just a bit. Then there was this infamous interview, I should say at this point, that he did with Jonathan Swan from Axios. Jonathan Swan is one of the few people that's really gotten under Trump's skin because he's a very good interviewer. Okay, so this is the let me see if I can find the first part of this. Hang on one second. This is before I play that, I'm going to play this little soundbite that he did with Lex Friedman. He appeared on Lex Friedman's show. Lex Friedman is a right-leaning podcaster. And I'll play that for you. Hang on one sec. Got a few things that are playing at the same time. I don't want to confuse myself. All right, there's a lot of pieces here. Did my best to try to compile them in order, but everybody bear with me.
There's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein, releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation?
I don't think I'm not involved. I never went to his island, fortunately. But a lot of people did.
Why do you think so many smart, powerful people allowed him to get so close?
He was a good salesman. He was, a hale and hearty type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd throw around, like islands. But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago.
Notice the pivot right away from that topic?
You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, it endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
That's great to hear.
So that was Lex Friedman podcast, right? So you'll notice that when pressed to say, will you do this? And then he immediately moves past it, right? Immediately moves past it. Similarly, in that Fox News clip that was selectively edited, yeah, I would, but then, yeah, but kind of, you know, I just want to make sure that there's nothing phony in there. Okay. So then, so I'll set the stage there. And then the interview that he did with Jonathan Swan, I'll play that sound for you now. This one was telling to me because this was before he took...
Our bookstore is like a portal.
This one was before he took office, before he took the presidency. And I think it's important, in this case, I think it's important because what it tells me is that this has always been on his mind. So this was right after Ghislaine Maxwell was charged. And Jonathan Swan from Axios did this interview, and here's the sound for that. And this is very telling to me that he would go this far in an attempt to try to say, well, I'll play it for you. I'm riffing. Hang on one sec. Where is it? It's this one. Here you go.
I just wish her well. Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that...
She has. She's been arrested for that.
Her friend or boyfriend...
Epstein.
...was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that...
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail. Is that what you mean?
So let them prove somebody is guilty. Think about that. So when I listened to this in prep for today's show, I'm thinking, well, that's a very interesting statement to make now that you put all the pieces together, right? Because if to determine someone's guilt, right, we would need to have all the evidence. To determine someone's guilt, we would have to have access to all the information that is available to us. The information that is currently being suppressed by Trump's DOJ in an attempt to protect him and others. Okay? So I kind of missed that part when I first heard this a year and a half ago, right? So I'm going to play this from the top again and just listen for little clues, right?
Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that...
She has. She's been arrested for that.
Her friend or boyfriend...
Epstein.
...was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck.
I don't know about you guys, but I would not wish a child sex trafficker well. I would not wish a child rapist well. I would not wish a person charged with crimes against children, girls, boys, well. I would not wish any of them well. Would you? Would you? So this is the thing. This is the flex now, or the pivot that the right tries to make to say, well, you guys don't really care because of these 300,000 kids that went missing. And we're like, yeah, we do fucking care. First of all, how about talking about information that's actually factual? And then please address this. Would you then wish a child predator well? We know many of them don't give a fuck. Hang on.
So you're saying you hope she doesn't...
Well, I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck.
let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean, she's a child alleged child sex trafficker.
Big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I wish.
Interesting. So was he killed? Was it self-unaliving? It's interesting though when you start to put that's why this was fascinating to me, to kind of go back through and pull a lot of these pieces together. Right. So those statements that he made to Lex Friedman saying, oh, yeah, I think I probably would. I'm not really sure. I don't want misinformation to go out there. The interview that he did on Fox News that was selectively edited so people couldn't hear past when he said, yeah, I just want to make sure that the information that gets out there is not phony. Already planting the seed. Like already planting the seed that any information that comes out that includes me is fake. But if it includes Bill Clinton or Larry Summers or others, then yes, in fact, you can believe it. And here he is wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well. Would you wish her well? Would anyone? So that's where we'll start. Okay. Let me do this. What I did is I sort of went and I compiled lots of statements that were made. And I want to start with one that I think is front and center. This has to do with the initial letter that Pam Bondi sent to Kash Patel. This is on the Office of the Attorney General. It's signed by Pam Bondi. It's dated February the 27th, 2025. Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, lists of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. I want people to think about that for a second, okay? She received 200 pages of documents and was told that that was all they had. And now we have reports that there are as many as 5 million files, documents, whatever that might be. Okay. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and the indictment of Jeffrey. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, the 28th of February, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The DOJ will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with law, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. Now, when you hear that, right? Again, this was dated February the 27th of last year. When you hear that, and then you combine that with everything you know, Pam Bondi, I think, went into this thinking that this information was readily available, only to find that once she started looking into it, that her boss's name was all fucking over it. All fucking over it, from head to fucking toe. Okay? So, as we go through the next hour and a half or so, I'm going to try to put the timeline together as best as I can. There's a lot of things that are kind of fractured, but I'm like I said, I'll do my best to try to make it make sense. Let me just make sure I've got this in order. So I'm going to start here. This was an infamous cabinet meeting that he had when he started the whole conversation. This goes back to earlier this summer when he started referring to it as a hoax.
You're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given, but it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing, because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do, all run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success, like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars.
No, you didn't.
Nobody's going to talk about, because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
Of course you want to talk about that. Here's another example of him calling it a hoax.
Well, I haven't been overly interested in it. You know, it's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this: those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey. They were run by Garland. They were run by Biden and all of the people that actually ran the government, including the auto pen. Those files were run for 4 years by those people. If they had anything, I assume they would have released it. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony.
See, that's that big push, right? Put something in the files that's a phony. That was my concern. Here's some more sound from that.
The MAGA media is in full revolt over the Trump DOJ and FBI's claim that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself, did not have a client list, and Donald Trump is not at all defensive if you ask him about it. Let's watch.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
I didn't.
So that's kind of the place that I wanted to sort of start, right? So we've got Pam Bondi's letter to Kash Patel saying, turn over everything. We know that they've not gotten everything. And then all summer long, all the president has done is try to say that this is a hoax. The entire summer, it was a hoax. But then when information started to come out, right, and we realized there's a flash goal. Let me do this. Looks like the gifting's back for some reason. Yeah, okay. There it is. I don't know what's going on, but anyway. Thank you, guys. So everything is a hoax. Let's blame it on everyone else. Let's blame it on people's names that we didn't even know of yet. Don't forget, he was alluding to things that we didn't even know went public yet. We found out information from the Epstein estate that the Democrats on the Oversight Committee were given, and they released it. It's been back. Okay, thank you. I didn't know. Appreciate that. So I think that's a bit of an interesting take on that. I'm sure most of you would agree. And then it kind of continued over the course of the summer, right? Here's another infamous moment when he discussed what Pam Bondi told him. Don't forget, initially he was deflecting away, saying, "I'm not in it. I've got nothing to do with it. It's everybody else. It's Larry Summers. It's Bill Clinton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And then all of a sudden, when there was reporting that thousands of FBI agents were brought in to comb through the files because they found his name in there, once they started to get information from SDNY and other places, his response was different.
Mr. President, your daughter-in-law said that there should be transparency in the Epstein case. Do you agree with her, sir?
The Attorney General's handled that very well. She's really done a very good job, and I think that when you look at it, you'll understand that. I would like to see that also, but I think the Attorney General, the credibility is very important, and you want credible evidence for something like that, and I think the Attorney General has handled it very well.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review, and specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the...
Okay, the question was, in case you didn't hear it, did she tell you specifically that your name appeared in the files?
Tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing.
Oh, but she did, though. So we know, again, there's another lie. So she did. We know that, which is exactly why they brought in FBI agents, to comb through everything that they had, because his name was in there. And we know at a minimum, it's nearly 2,000 times from what we've seen so far. Okay? So far. Again, does a camera need to be in the room for MAGA to accept the fact that his name is all over the files? Because you still hear people to this day. People to this day still think that he's not in the files, even though he's acknowledging right here that he is.
And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by...
If they're made up, then Bill Clinton's made up, then Larry Summers is made up, then everybody else that's in it is made up, right? If they're made up, that means no one's in it. If they're made up, then why is MAGA freaking out about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton not wanting to testify before Congress? If they're made up, why do you keep bringing up Larry Summers' name? If they're made up, why do you say all these things don't exist that actually do? Okay.
By the Biden information, you know, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well. And it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
See, I know, Renee, you're a little bit impatient, but I'll do you a solid. The question is, show us where he is all over the fools, in all caps. I realize you needed attention. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a little pause, and I will show you what has been released so far, because the New York Times has covered this based on information that was released by the Oversight Committee through the Epstein estate. So what I'm going to show you is references to this right here. Each dot is an email thread released by the House Oversight Committee. These are the emails. This is for you specifically, Renee. These are all the emails that the Oversight Committee had captured during their investigation. This was released by the Epstein estate. That's the entire picture. Now, that's when we break it down with our names that appeared. For example, hang on a second. This was Bill Clinton. 512 out of 2,324 emails. So Renee, do you believe that? Do you believe that Bill Clinton's name was mentioned 512 out of 2,324 emails? Do you believe that? I ask because when we dig even a little bit deeper, we find a little bit more information. So we get Bill Clinton 512 times out of the 2,324 emails that were released. We then get Larry Summers. Do you believe this, Renee? We get 117 out of 2,324 email threads. Again, this was released by the Democrats on the Oversight Committee subpoenaed by James Comer, who's on the oversight committee. This information came to the committee from the Epstein estate, corroborated and confirmed. Again, do you need a camera in the room? Okay. So if you believe Bill Clinton and you believe Larry Summers, then I have a question for you, Renee. If you want to believe that are in the files, if you really want to believe that, if you want to accept the truth that I just shared with you, that Bill Clinton's name showed up 512 times, that Larry Summers' name showed up 117 times, then I have a question for you. If you believe that, then do you believe, hang on, do you believe this? Where is it? Hang on. Waiting for the dramatic moment. Hang on a second. I've got it for you. It is right. I know the waiting is the hardest part. Hang on. Then you must believe this too. Because this is the same report. This is the same information that was compiled. Bill Clinton 512 times, Larry Summers 117 times, and Donald Trump's name 1,670 times. Do you still want proof that Donald Trump is in the files? Here's your proof. But I bet you won't believe that, right? Because there's no camera in the room, figuratively speaking. Cool. Are we done now? Have you learned? Can you move on? Can you stop denying the reality that the fact that your boy is a fucking predator? Any comments, Renee? Go ahead. Make a comment. Go ahead. Make a comment. I dare you. Go ahead. I'll wait. Make a comment about that. Anything to say, Ray? You know, that you officially just got dragged mercilessly in front of nearly 2,000 people? Did you run away? Did you run away? Probably. Okay, so got a little bit off of topic, but relevant. All right, let's go. Let me move on to a different segment of this conversation. So what I'm going to play for you now is the various things that Caroline Leavitt has said about JE. Let me see if I can find it. We're going to talk about the juxtaposition from the various claims when the relationship apparently severed. So we were all under the impression that for years we were told that one of the reasons that the relationship between JE and Donald ended was because of a real estate dispute. Now the timeline is really weird because it does appear that there was some debate over real estate. What we've learned since the Epstein files have been released is that the timeline does not match because he was still a member at Mar-a-Lago, although not officially a member at Mar-a-Lago. Based on the testimony that we got from some of the witnesses, some of the survivors, and based on information that was released in the tranche of data we've gotten so far. So the entire story is backwards. Okay? So this was Caroline Leavitt's answer to why the relationship ended.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that
okay, if those emails prove nothing, then the emails prove nothing about Bill Clinton. And if these emails prove nothing, then these emails prove nothing about Larry Summers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't have it both ways. They are either all relevant or none of them are relevant. And from my perspective, I think they're all relevant. And I don't give a fuck who you are. If you are, again, I believe in due process. I believe in the rule of law. Investigate everyone. But you know what? We can't do that because this administration is protecting fucking predators. This administration is protecting people who committed the most egregious crimes imaginable against children. Let that land for a second. Let that land for a second, you fucks, MAGA, who claim every single day that you care about kids. Let that fucking land. Let that land. Do you hear what people on the left are saying? We don't give a fuck whose names are in there. We don't care. We do care, but we don't. Meaning I want them all investigated and prosecuted. We don't care. It is you. It is your party. It is the people that you support that are denying the voices of survivors and victims because your party is protecting them. You're protecting the people that are committed these crimes, allegedly. You're protecting them. If you cared so much, then you would be out ahead of it. But apparently, it's a hoax until it's not, right? Okay. And this is Caroline Levitt's answer as to why the relationship ended.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. I'm
going to pause a second. There's a comment that I just read that said, somebody said, so DC08 says this: you're blowing whistles to warn sex offenders against ICE. Who's protecting them now? Care much? You see what I mean? December 08, how pitiful you are. You can't address the biggest trafficking ring, arguably, in world history. You can't defend it. So what you try to do is try to come up with a bullshit fucking narrative saying that people that are blowing whistles to make sure that the fascist thugs in masks that you support, the people in those communities, are given a heads up. But you won't ever address anything that we're talking about now because you're a pathetic fucking coward. You won't do that. You won't call out your boy. You'll fucking lie about it. You'll lie about it, and you'll lie about it, and you'll lie about it again. We see you. We know exactly who you are. We see you.
Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Guffrey. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Guffrey maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us.
They didn't. It's a lie. The name was already public. What the DOJ did was redact it and then remove it and try to blame the Democrats for that. So the point that I wanted to make in this particular segment that Caroline Levitt said was the fact that the reason that Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, even though he didn't, was because he was a creep and because he was a P3DO, which then would acknowledge the fact that Donald Trump knew this back then and obviously knew of this before, but did nothing for years? Interesting.
Mary.
Thank you, Galen. 2 questions on this. In the interest of transparency, why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever.
Really?
In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people. We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts.
By the way, this was before the Epstein Transparency Act was signed into law. So now you're going to hear from Maria Farmer, okay?
When someone is hanging out with a convicted or a pedophile, and I discover that that pedophile has stolen my little sister, and then there's a powerful businessman that's making comments about me being my sister's age, then I think that the FBI needs to take a good look at it.
Back with me is Maria Farmer and her lawyer, Jennifer Freeman. Maria was one of the first women to accuse convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, of sexual assault. And she has described an alleged encounter with Donald Trump back in 1995 as unsettling. Thanks again for being here with all of us. Before the break, we were just talking about that meeting, and you responded to a White House comment on it. But I wanted to ask you more personally. I mean, you described that meeting. You heard Donald Trump, or you heard Jeffrey Epstein say to Donald Trump, "She's not for you." What was your reaction to that? What was going on in your head at the time about that? What did you think that meant?
Right. Well, I already felt kind of intimidated because it was in a dark office and I was alone with my new boss, to be, and this man that's a powerful businessman. And so I felt intimidated, but that's not why I reported him. I reported him because when Epstein came out of the office, I was making a face at him because I felt threatened. And so I went, and he kind of laughed and backed off. And as that was happening, Epstein walked out and said, oh, no, she's not here for you. And he emphasized, she's not here for you. And he said, come with me. And he walked him.
16 and 14, respectively, by the way.
He escorted him into another office. And I was like, who's in there? And when he said, oh, I thought she was 16, I thought, is there a 16-year-old in there? Right? So what people need to understand is I'm not some crazy person who just reports people if they look at my legs or I'm in an office with them. But when someone is hanging out with a convicted or a pedophile, and I discover that that pedophile has stolen my little sister, and then there's a powerful businessman that's making comments about me being my sister's age, then I think that the FBI needs to take a good look at it.
I would agree. Here's a little bit more connected to Trump's lies about trying to pivot away from the conversation. Here you go. We're going to go back to that in just a moment, but I just wanted to play this.
Let them have it.
I know it's for.
Hang on 1 second.
Why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it. See, there are little tells when he says things like that. Anything that's credible. Who determines if it's credible, sir? Anything that's credible. As we've already known from my sufficient dog walk of Renee this morning, if it's credible that Bill Clinton's name is in there, and it's credible that Larry Summers' name is in there, and others, then guess what? It's also credible that your name is in there too. Hang on, my dog is bothering me. Come on in, sir. Okay, so there's that, right? So now we've gotten to the point now where Caroline Leavitt said the reason that Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago was because he was a creep, was because he was a P3DO. Well, let's talk about that, because there's some contradictory statements made by the president himself. Let's see if I've got that pulled up here. Hang on. Then we're gonna hear some sound from the dead, so to speak, because it's necessary. Here's what Donald Trump said as to why he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago.
At the time you threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, can you settle that? What was it about? What caused the breach for him?
That's such old history. Very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help.
Oh.
And I said, don't ever do that again.
Oh.
He stole people that worked for me.
Oh.
I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again.
Nope.
And I threw him out of the place. Persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did.
Okay, so which is it then? Is it that he threw him out because he found out that he was a P3DO and a creep, according to Caroline Leavitt, or was it that it was because he was stealing employees? By the way, the employee that he was referring to that was stolen was Virginia Dufresne, and she was a minor at the time working in the massage parlor. Why was she a minor working in the massage parlor? Why was she recruited there by Ghislaine Maxwell? Why was Mar-a-Lago at the hub of this trafficking? Anybody want to explain that? Is that fake news too? So it's one or the other. Should we believe the real estate story? Should we believe the Caroline Leavitt that he kicked him out because he was a creep, a P3DO? Or is it Donald Trump's words that he kicked him out because he stole my employees? You know, one way to solve this problem is to release everything. Release it all. But no. Can't do that because what about Biden? Can't do that because it's fake news. Can't do that because it's a hoax. Can't do any of that, right? Can't do any of that because it's all fake. Even though the president had lied all summer long about his involvement. Do you ever know? Do you remember the Wall Street Journal lawsuit about the birthday book? You know, why has that lawsuit not gone anywhere? Do you want to know why that lawsuit's not gone anywhere? Because the Wall Street Journal's like, we've got this on sources. Go ahead, bring it. Because of discovery. Because that's not something that he wants to deal with. He does not want to deal with discovery. Which again, why have some of the people, why has Sasha Riley not been sued? Why is there no lawsuit pending there? I've not heard of any. Why are other people that have mentioned Donald Trump's name, including Maria Farmer, why has she not been sued? Because he sues everybody. He literally sues everyone. Why not them, though? Interesting, right? Why not them? So when you start to put the pieces together, based on what the initial lies were, that, oh, I would release it. Yeah, I think I would. Definitive statements about releasing the information. Where's that sound again? I want to go back and play this again, right? Think about, hear how definitive he is when it comes to these conversations about the JFK files and MLK. And then listen to what he says about the E-files.
So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these.
Yeah.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Definitive.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Okay, those are definitive. MLK files, definitive. JFK files, definitive. Yep.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would.
So
interesting though, right? Definitively regarding JFK, definitive regarding MLK. I wonder why he was so definitive about those. Maybe because he's not in those. Maybe. I don't even think it requires critical thinking to make that point, does it? But instead, maybe. I guess I would. Just what now? Based on what I've played you so far, the sound bites about either Caroline's lying, Trump's lying, they're both lying, et cetera, et cetera. Now that we've played those sound bites for you, I want you to listen to this again that I just played for you and just listen to the way in which he answers this question.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff.
Again, it's a lot of phony stuff in there. I got to plant the seed. I'm kind of caught a little bit here. Okay, I'm just going to say it's phony. So that's going to give me cover.
That whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly...
You don't think it would restore trust in your Department of Justice when your name is all over these files and you keeping it hidden? You don't think releasing them would restore trust? Sir, it's done the exact opposite. It shows the world that you're a fucking predator. And you're in the fucking files, period. That's what it shows. It must be really bad. I want people to think about this for a second, right? And this is my own opinion. It is worse than I think any of us could have ever imagined. I mean, I think the Sasha Riley piece, again, I think Sasha Riley has everything to lose, including his life, and nothing to gain from this. So even in defense of what he said, timelines can get screwed up. People block out trauma. So sure, the timeline doesn't always match up with certain things, but why the fuck would he come public with this information? Why? that's interesting that you say that, Yosemite. It's interesting you say that because people in here actually do take me seriously because I provide facts and evidence. I don't know why you're here if you're so triggered by someone who puts varnish on their nails, but you do you, boo. Again, the argument that I have is why would Sasha Riley go public with any of this information? Because they've got literally nothing to lose, nothing to gain and everything to lose, including his life. So it's got to be so bad. The information that the Department of Justice knows that's in there. Pam Bondi knows, Kash Patel knows, Dan Bongino knows, Caroline Levitt knows. They all know. Venezuela, Greenland, threats of economic doom for Europe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's how bad it is. People, I promise you, you have my word that I am not going to let go of this story. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Absolutely not. That's what they want. They don't want people to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because I believe survivors. I believe women. If we just had a culture, especially in our country, if we just had a culture that where people, that's weird. That filter showed up again. I don't know what happened there. It's wild. It's freaking me out. There, it's better now. If we had a culture where people believe women in general, we wouldn't be in this position. We wouldn't. People are so quick to just blame. Again, does a camera need to be in the room? What more do you need to hear to accept the fact that he's absolutely all over these files? But instead, because of the brainwashing, because of the little bits of things that he said, credible evidence, don't want to harm people, especially if the information in there is not credible, right? Plants the seeds. Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, then I want to sort of start dog walking Pam Bondi a little bit. This goes back, there's a few things that we need to talk about with Pam because first of all, the letter that she wrote. Now I'm trying to be objective about this. I'm trying to say, okay, was Pam Bondi fooled? Did she think that the information existed? And she wrote this letter saying, where is it? And then as she started to get the information, she's like, holy fuck. What have we unearthed here? So let me pull up this sound bite for you. So this is this infamous interview that she did on Fox back in I think it was in February. So this is where the whole thing sort of started. We can track that with, first of all, the letter that she wrote to Kash Patel saying, I need you to turn over everything. I read it to you. And this is now this infamous interview that she did on Fox News. Here you go.
Jay may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Ooh. Will that really happen?
This is dated February the 21st. Okay. The letter to Kash Patel went out on the 27th. Okay. So she's already saying, I've got the Epstein files are sitting on my desk. Well, I'll just let her tell you. You don't need me to repeat it. Let her tell you her own words. Here you go.
Releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
The DOJ.
Okay. So don't forget, there was that massive media event where she invited right-wing influencers, including Jack Posobiec and others. And since then, a lot of those people have said, we got hosed. They invited them to the Oval Office or to the White House, and they gave them these binders and saying, I got the Epstein files, right, making a mockery of it. So she goes on the record saying, well, yeah, they're sitting on my desk. If they're sitting on your desk, how can they be a hoax? Exactly. If they're sitting on your desk, how can they be a hoax? So that topic kept coming up. She could not run from it. So she has to sit down at a cabinet meeting. This is, what's the date on this?
In February, I didn't.
So this was, I think this was like maybe May or June. And when she references in February, she's going to reference the interview that I just played for you. And then it gets crazier from there. So again, Pam Bondi, she's sitting down with the president, Marco Rubio's there, etc. She's referencing the interview that I just played for you.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein. In February.
Again, I'm going to play this again, okay? Because as she described it in that interview, let me play these in order. This is what she said on Fox.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
Okay, you got that. Okay, cool. Then back to this, just so we're tracking. So it's sitting on my desk waiting to review.
I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK.
Like what? Just like the file folder? The file folder? Like what? Like the binder? Like your trapper keeper? If you know, you know. Well, what was it exactly that was sitting on your desk then, Pam? Otherwise, Pam, we'll call it like we see it. You're a fucking liar. You are a fucking liar. Did you hear that? Hope you're watching my stream today. Please consider subscribing. You're a fucking liar. And your lies are protecting predators, including your boss.
MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey.
Did you hear her cadence change when she speaks? Well, we're going to talk. We're going to appeal to emotion, right?
Epstein, child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive.
What?
But the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Okay, so what she wants you to believe, okay, what she wants you to believe is that it wasn't actually the file that was on her desk, it was just a file. And the minute that's missing is the same minute that's missing every night. And it's just a total coincidence that the minute that was missing happened to be the minute where Jeffrey Epstein lost his life. Now, I've told you, MAGA, a million times that this administration thinks you're stupid. Well, guess what? They think you're really not very bright if they want you to believe that. And you know what? Many of you will. I did some fact checking. So there was reporting done by The Independent on that particular subject right there about the missing minute. We're all like, I remember hearing that sound like, wait a minute, you're kidding me? Like a minute's been missing the same minute's been missing every single night for 30 years? Okay. The title of the story, again, reported by The Independent, Missing Minute in Jeffrey Epstein Jail Security Video Revealed in Document Dump. Well, what do you know? From the 61-second clip from inside the New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center surfaced among the more than 33,000 newly released files that came from the Oversight Committee through the Epstein estate, through the DOJ. This is the title of this, or the story is headlined, the dateline is September the 3rd, okay? 1 minute of missing surveillance footage from J.E.'s final hours before his self-unaliving, allegedly, has surfaced in a new document dump on the late Schmeck's offender. Conspiracy theories, started by Pam Bondi, by the way, have swirled ever since observers spotted the mysterious 61-second gap in the 11 hours of full raw footage from inside New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center that the Justice Department and the FBI released in early July. Okay? A digital clock visible on the bottom left corner of the footage jumps from 11:58 p.m. on August 9th, 2019 to 12 a.m. on August 10th, 2019. So a minute and a second, 61 seconds. Attorney General Bondi previously claimed the same minute is skipped each night due to an outdated recording system that resets at midnight. Now, again, I want people... Security camera footage in a detention center. The administration wants you to believe that the same minute is missing every single night. And it's just a coincidence that that missing minute include the time, allegedly, that Jeffrey Epstein took his own life. Does that make sense? The missing minute couldn't have been at 7:45 to 7:46 p.m. or 10:03 to 10:04 p.m. or 11:15 a.m. to 11:16 a.m. Nope, it just happens to be right at the time when he allegedly took his own life. Okay, curious. Now, the previously missing minute of footage has emerged. Shocker. After the GOP-led House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Justice Department for more than 33,000 pages of Jeffrey-related documents, which were released on Tuesday morning, which means that Pam Bondi's Department of Justice was in possession of this. The new footage was contained within 2 additional hours of newly released recordings, according to the BBC. Fox News Digital confirmed that the footage in the latest tranche of files shows the camera data switching at about midnight. After the release on Tuesday, the outlet combined the clips showing no lapse in the surveillance tape at all. The fragment itself shows little beyond several guards working near Jeffrey's cell. The Attorney General's office has yet to comment on the newly released footage. An analysis by Wired in July first challenged the administration's claim that the raw surveillance footage was unedited. Forensic experts who worked with the magazine to analyze the metadata embedded in the video concluded that the footage had been modified, most likely using Adobe Premiere Pro editing software. Professor Hani Farid, a digital forensics and misinformation expert at UC Berkeley, told Wired the footage would not be considered valid evidence in court. Farid also questioned why the aspect ratio suddenly shifts. Forensic video analysts who reviewed the footage for CBS News later that month said the video's metadata showed the file was first created on May 23rd of this year, not in 2019. Well, what do you know? They manipulated the information to try to remove that minute and then claim the minute never existed? Wow. Beyond the missing minute, the footage released also shows Epstein being chaperoned through the detention center to make a phone call, according to CBS. The sprawling file dump shared via Google Drive and Dropbox contained More than just video, thousands of court filings, emails, audio recordings, and other documents. Democrats downplayed the significance of the release, with committee member Robert Garcia stating that 97% of the material was already public, which is true. A lot of the information that came out in advance was already made public, which is why we only have 1% of information to be released so far. So you're right, Dala. Why is it so difficult for people to see the cover-up? Why? I'm going to play now some sound from Todd Blanche. This is the, let's see if I got this queued up right. Todd Blanche, of course, is the guy who interviewed Ghislaine, right?
President Trump. There are dozens of photos of President Trump already released to the public. Seeing him in that photo,
Here we go.
And so we learned after releasing that photograph that there were concerns about those women and the fact that we had put that photo up. So we pulled that photo down. It has nothing to do with President Trump. There are dozens of photos of President Trump already released to the public, seeing him with Mr. Epstein. He has said that in the 90s and early 2000s, he socialized with him.
To spend this entire period of time, last few months, claiming that you have the files ready to be released. The president, of course, the entire campaign saying they want to release the files. And then this all-out effort to hide them from the public, to stop the will of Congress, to not answer the oversight subpoena. What they need to understand is that there are hundreds and hundreds of FBI agents and others that are good American patriots that have worked to put these files together. They know what's in them. And I have also a message. I have a message to all of those FBI agents, all the good Americans that want transparency and justice. We, of course, are interested in talking to you. If you are a whistleblower at the FBI, at the Department of Justice, if you know and worked hard to put the files together and are seeing your work now being hidden by your own Department of Justice, contact the Oversight Committee. We have whistleblower protections. We want to make sure that the truth gets out, that the survivors are protected, and we are hearing from folks across our government who have seen or know what are in these files. And we want you to know that you will be protected. We want that information, and the American public deserve the truth.
It's Robert Garcia. So again, let's just kind of reset where we're at. We get the letter from Pam Bondi that goes to the DOJ, that goes to Kash Patel specifically back in February, that says, listen, I need everything that you've got. I've only received 200 pages so far. I've been told there's thousands more. Come to find out there are millions more. She goes on Fox News and said, the files are sitting on my desk. Then she goes and does this cabinet interview where she says, well, yeah, the files were kind of the files, but they weren't the files. They were this, they were that. Nonsensical answer. Then lies to the American public about this missing minute, saying that it happens every single night. Then we get reporting that says, nope, there's no missing minute. By the way, this video has been edited. And we're supposed to believe that this is not a cover-up? And the right's defense of this is, what about Biden? Why didn't the Biden Justice Department release this? Now, if you want to be critical, listen, this goes back decades. I want to blame every single member of any single administration for withholding any evidence that would have protected women and girls. During the time leading up to his conviction, where he was in jail the first time and then got released for like 12 hours a day, during that time, he was abusing more girls. Everybody needs to be held accountable. Everyone. I don't give a fuck who it is. I do not care. There are legal reasons why some of the information connected to Ghislaine Maxwell was not released during Biden, because the court hearing was still going on. That does not excuse anyone. Girls and boys. Thank you, Jen. Yes, girls and boys. But the cover-up is so fucking huge. So this is, again, my wish would be for me to be able to go into a right-wing space and somebody's hosting it and just be able to do this live that I'm doing for you guys now there, because they're not getting this information. They're not. They're not getting this information. It's being hidden from them. They're being told it's a hoax. They're being told it's a witch hunt. All these things connected to Donald Trump, they're not being told. So when we tell them, of course they're going to say, that's made up. Do you think that they're willing to do the work that we're doing here? Do you think they're going to connect the dots between what Pam Bondi's claim was about the missing minute to the actual evidence about the minute? Does a camera need to be in the room? Does a camera need to be in the room? They don't care. They just are, they're unwilling to believe that their boy is in the files. They're just unwilling to believe it. Okay, I want to play, I played that for you. I played that for you. I covered that. Now I'm gonna get into some sound from Jeffrey. So it starts with an interview that he did with Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff probably, I can't definitively say this, but he seems to have gained a level of trust with Jeffrey based on some of the things he says. Now the audio is a little bit difficult to hear, so I'll do my best to translate. He was interviewing. This is Michael Wolff from the Fire and Fury podcast, where he did an interview with Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm going to do my best to try to explain this to you. Like I said, some of the audio is difficult to hear, but I will. There's some captions, so I will. What I think you may not be able to hear or read for you. So I'm going to start there. Well, actually, let me start here for. No, I'm going to start with this one. All right, here you go.
So how do you know this?
So Jeffrey said, how do you know this? Jeffrey said, I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years. He didn't say that about Bill Clinton. He didn't say that about Larry Summers. He didn't say that about anybody else. He said it about Trump. I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years.
So I need the dump. Just give me Donald.
Big sigh. First things first.
So you probably know he had
a scalp reduction.
Scalp reduction. Because
he's getting the same male pattern baldness that we all have.
The same male pattern baldness that we all have. He had his scalp removed.
He had his scalp reduced. It's hysterical.
Donald's office, as you know, he made that.
Donald's office, he made that. He used to be on the phone there.
He used to be on the phone and said, it's fake PR person. I also found it funny. I was sitting there listening to the guys from the Post talk, and Donald would say, he's a great guy. I loved working with him. And I sit there going, this is just amazing. And he'd say, Michael, come on, let's go to the office. And he'd say, tell me, what's it like to be there? He said,
Somebody would asking Trump, what's it like to be married?
You like having sex with your wife?
You like having sex with your wife?
How often do you? So it's great. Seriously, Michael, how often do you have sex? Don't you want to?
So he's asking this guy, Michael, he's talking to, like, how often do you have sex with your wife? He wouldn't answer.
You and I can go upstairs, or tomorrow, come over. There's this girl's coming in from Los Angeles.
Come on over. You and I can go upstairs. There's this girl coming in from Los Angeles.
Part of the Hawaiian Tropic.
Part of the Hawaiian Tropic contest.
So come over 3 o'clock. You can have a great time.
You can have a great time, Michael. I promise. There's a girl coming in from California. She's part of the Hawaiian Tropic contest. You can have a great time. I promise you, Michael.
Promise you, Michael. It's just me and you.
Just you and me. It'll just be you and me. We can have a great time.
Have a great time. Be up here at 3 o'clock.
Be up there at 3 o'clock. We can go upstairs.
Go upstairs. The whole time, Victoria's been on us.
The whole time, Victoria is with us on the phone listening in. Victoria is this guy's wife.
Listen, he set it up because he wants Victoria.
Because Donald wants to fuck this guy's wife, Victoria. Because Donald wants to fuck Michael's wife, whose name is Victoria.
So he has you on, because as the boy conversation.
Sound gets really bad at this part. Hang on.
Come on, you must have had a better wife, right? Yes.
He said, you must have had a better fuck than your wife, right? He answers yes. So this guy that he's speaking to, while his wife is overhearing the phone call, Donald says, you must have had a better fuck than your wife. And this guy says, well, yeah.
And the wife's on the speakerphone listening. Donald said, I know you I think you're really hot.
Basically telling Victoria that I'd like to fuck you. I think you're really hot.
I know you think you're guy Michael is like the end of the world, the best guy on earth. Will be that you're wrong. Just listen to the next 20 minutes.
Nice. 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 And then there's this famous interview or deposition that Jeffrey Epstein had to answer some questions. So again, you'll hear the questions that he's being asked.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
So he asked the interview said, have you had a personal relationship with Donald Trump? Have you socialized with him? To which Epstein responds, yes, sir. This is dated March 17th, 2010.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Question was, have you ever socialized with Donald Trump with females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
So, we've been told numerous times by Donald himself that unless you have something to hide, why wouldn't you just speak? Why would you plead the 5th unless you've got something to hide? So when we put the pieces together, right? When we put all the pieces together, when we put Kash Patel and Pam Bondi lying and Dan Bongino leaving the FBI and the amount of effort that they have gone through to cover this up, the oversight committee basically denying Democrats access, and the Democrats went ahead and did it anyway. If the answer was no, he would have said it exactly. When you're asked a question by an interviewer, have you ever spent time with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18? If the answer was no, you would say it. Or if you would say it no, come to find out, then you would be, subjected to perjury. But instead, he said, nope, I'm going to take the 5th, 4th, 5th, and whatever else. Interesting, right? But again, is that fake? Is that all a hoax too? Thank you. Is that all a hoax too? All of it's a hoax. Is that part of the hoax? So Jeffrey Epstein's words himself, that's a hoax? 5th, 6th, and 14th, I think he said. You're right. So real quick, let me just pause here. Thank you guys for letting me take you through this. I think it's necessary. I want to thank Serena. Thank you so much, Serena, for the $2 train. I appreciate you so very, very much. Also, thank you to Tom. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. You don't need to do that every day. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you to Tom, and also thank you to Pedro. Thank you, Pedro. You're very kind. I appreciate you. So here we are, right? Here we are. So we've got Jeffrey Epstein's own words saying Donald Trump was my closest friend. We've got Jeffrey Epstein giving this story of how this woman was listening on the phone while Trump is telling his friend Michael. I don't know who the Michael is. I can't confirm that. Okay. Telling his friend Michael that there's a girl coming in from California, one of the Hawaiian Tropic contestants, right? And we're going to have a great time. The three of us can just go upstairs. Hey, is your wife the best fuck you've ever had? This guy says no. And Donald Trump basically acknowledging that he wants to fuck this guy's wife. But again, nothing to see here, right? That's totally fine. Nothing to see here. That's just normal behavior for someone, right? It's just locker room talk. Just boys being boys, right? That's totally fine in the MAGAverse, right? Okay, I just want to make sure. Just want to make sure I understood how that went. Okay, so then let's go to, hang on one second. Now I'm going to give you some names. Let's do this. I'm going to go back to the timeline a little bit because there's a lot more here. I tried to fill in the blanks with some of the most salacious sounds that we've heard because there's more, but I want to start with, let's see here. And I'm going to get into the language of the Epstein Transparency Act and why this administration is breaking federal law and nobody on the right seems to give a fuck. June 2nd, 2024, Trump, the candidate, on a Fox and Friends interview asked if he would declassify the Epstein files. He said, yeah, I would. But I want to make sure there's no phony stuff in there. That's the sound I played for you. On the Lex Friedman podcast, I said that. I played that for you as well. On releasing the related materials, the client list, Trump said that he'd be inclined to do it and would have no problem. But again, we have a problem. February the 27th is when the letter came out from Pam Bondi. July 7th, the DOJ and the FBI published an official memo describing an exhaustive review and concluded no client list. That was on July the 7th of last year. Case closed, basically. No more information to see here. That right there, the contradiction is ideally because, well, not ideally, but specifically, Pam Bondi's letter went to the FBI, right, in February, demanding more information. Between that date, February, and when the DOJ came out with this statement, we know that they elicited the support of over 1,000 FBI agents to comb through the files. The sound that I played before you earlier was dated in June when the president said, yeah, Pam informed me, yeah, but nothing to see here. So there's a lie. July the 8th, at a cabinet meeting, Trump angrily pushes back at a reporter asking Bondi about Epstein. Are you still talking about Jeffrey, this creep? Unbelievable. That was the segment I just played where she tried to scramble her way through the corroboration of her own story, saying, oh yeah, I had the files, but not the files really, and then the bullshit regarding the missing minute. Okay. July 16th through the 18th, Senate Democrats pressure the DOJ. Senator Richard Durbin letter to AG Bondi references the July 7th DOJ memo and then raises questions about the administration's handling of the Epstein files. Again, that's when the evidence came to this committee that they had brought in 1,000 FBI agents or more to investigate, to comb through the documents. What were they looking for? August through September, Congress subpoenas large document drops. August 5th, James Comer issues a subpoena to DOJ for Epstein-related documents. DOJ indicates it will begin producing records. September the 2nd, House Oversight Committee releases 33,295 pages of Epstein-related records provided by the DOJ, announces the continued productions of the victim through CSAM redactions. That is when Robert Garcia said, we've already got 97% of this. This is nothing new. And that's what President Trump was referring to. Well, we've already released 50,000. Nope, we already had that. That information was already public. September the 8th, House Oversight Committee releases records provided by the Epstein estate pursuant to a separate subpoena. That's where we got this stuff. Just to go back and look at this again for people like Renee, who was in here earlier, who had to leave after I dunked on her sufficiently. That's when we started to get these little bits of nuggets. Where is it? I think it's important for context, so just bear with me from a timeline perspective. Damn, this is good fucking journalism. I'm sorry, but this is painting, connecting the fucking dots. It ain't easy, but it's important. Okay, here. Part of what the Oversight Committee got from the Epstein estate was a combination of all these emails, right? And this reporting was done by the New York Times. Each dot is an email thread released by the House Oversight Committee. And then we get more information connected on that. You know the story that the overwhelming majority of the email threads that they got included Donald Trump's name. So that's just a coincidence too, right? I'm sure that that's just a coincidence, nothing to see here. Again, Bill Clinton referenced 1,670 times out of the emails. Clinton was 512. Larry Summers was 174. Nothing to see here, though, right? Nothing to see here. Okay. All right. And then in November, President Trump on Air Force One says he doesn't care whether the e-files are released. That clip circulated. This is it.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends. This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends because, if they're going to do that, and I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clayton. I understand that's who's been assigned. I don't care about it, released or not.
So that's interesting, right? I don't care if it's released or not. Well, if you don't care if it was released or not, then why are you not demanding the Department of Justice release it? Because I think it's I don't think it's a coincidence that you can direct your Department of Justice to investigate Letitia James. You can tell her what to do, or you can tell Pam Bondi to investigate Letitia, or James Comey, or Adam Schiff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Easily do that. And don't forget, it's the same guy who's suing the Department of Justice because of J6 stuff, right? Okay. Just want to make sure that we're all level set on that. And then in November of this past year, on Truth Social, he urged House Republicans to vote to release the e-files. We have nothing to hide, framing it as a Democrat hoax covered and quoted by PolitiFact, Reuters, and Axios. Here is the breakdown. In recent days, as the U.S. House of Representatives approached a potential vote about releasing the files, President Trump pivoted on the hot-button topic. Trump and members of his administration had sought to undermine efforts to release the files related to the convicted offender, Jeffrey, and Trump has been dismissive of the push to make files public, calling the case, quote, pretty boring stuff in July, and repeatedly referring to it as a Democratic hoax. Then on November the 16th, he told House Republicans to vote in favor of the release. Now, I go back and I think about this. All right, what if I were in this situation, how would I play this? He's like, I would say to myself, I know I've got a very gullible base. I know that they will believe anything that I tell them. So what I'm going to encourage my Republicans in the House and the Senate to do is to vote for this, because all we'll do is just delay it anyway. We'll just violate the law. And we'll tell our base that there's other things that we have to do, and we've got to protect this person and that person. His shift came after lawmakers cleared a significant hurdle November the 12th, netting 218 signatures on a petition to force a vote on a bill to release the files within 30 days. The House is expected to vote on that bill, and we know it passed. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I just want to make sure that we're still tracking. Hang on one second. Okay. So this is the law. So this is now public law. All right. So the way that our system of government works, MAGA, is that a bill would be introduced either in the House or the Senate. They sign it. They sign off on it. They vote to approve it. It goes to the president's desk. Once the president signs it, it is a law. It's referred to as public law. So this is public law, signed into public law on November the 19th. That date's important because, actually, let me back up a second. That date's important because, well, I'll read it to you. My eyes are getting bad. This is entitled the Epstein Transparency Act. Not later than 30 days after the date of this enactment, which again, November the 19th, signed into law, 30 days later is what they're referring to here. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, shall, subject to subsection B, make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all, again, all, A-L-L, all of unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the DOJ, including the FBI and the United States Attorney's offices that relate to 1, JE, including all investigations, prosecutions, or custodial matters, 2, Ghislaine Maxwell, 3, flight logs, travel records, including but not limited to manifests, itineraries, pilot records, and customs or immigration documentation for any aircraft, vessel, or vehicle owned, operated, or used by JE or any related entity. 4, individuals, including government officials, named or referenced in connection with JE's criminal activities, civil settlements, immunity or plea agreements, or investigatory proceedings. 5, entities, corporate, nonprofit, academic, governmental, with no to JE's or financial. 6, any immunity deals, non-prosecution agreements, or NPA, sealed settlements involving JE or his associates. 7, internal DOJ communications, including emails, memos, meeting notes concerning decisions to charge, not charge, investigate, or decline to investigate JE or his associates. 8, All communications, memoranda, directives, logs, or metadata concerning the destruction, deletion, alteration, misplacement, or concealment of documents, recordings, or electronic data related to J.E., his associates, his detention and death, or any investigative files. Number 9, documentation of J.E.'s detention or death, including incident reports, witness interviews, medical examiner files, autopsy reports, and written records detailing circumstances and cause of death. Section B, prohibited grounds for withholding. No record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. What's permitted to be withheld? The Attorney General may withhold or redact the segregable portions of records that, A, contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personal and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. B, depict or contain CSAM, which is child sexual abuse material, as defined by 18 U.S. Code 2256 and prohibited under 18 U.S. Code 2252 through 2252A. C, would jeopardize an active investigation or ongoing prosecution provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. D, depict or contain images of death, physical abuse, or injury to any person. Or E, contain information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy and are in fact properly classified pursuant to executive orders. Number 2, all redactions must be accompanied by a written justification published in the Federal Register and submitted to Congress. Number 3, to the extent that any covered information would otherwise be redacted or withheld as classified information under this section, the Attorney General shall declassify that classification order to the maximum extent possible. If the Attorney General makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and made available in a manner that protects the national security of the U.S., including methods or sources related to national security, the Attorney General shall release an unclassified summary for each of the redacted or withheld classified information. All decisions to classify any covered information dating back to July 1st shall be published in the Federal Register and submitted to Congress, including the date of the classification, the identity of the classification authority, and an unclassified summary of the justification. A report to Congress within 15 days of completion of the release required under Section 2, again, everything, the AG shall submit to the House and Senate on the Judiciary report listing all categories of records released and withheld, and then a summary of redactions made, including legal basis. I share that with you because that is the law. That is the law. The law and order party violating the law as we speak. It's plain as day. So that's the story. That's the story. Okay? I want to just go back real quick because let me see if I can get this. Hang on one second here. Hang on. Okay. Covered the hoax portion, the numerous times that he's covered hoax. He repeatedly described calls for more disclosure of the government Epstein's records, often referred to them as the Epstein files, as a Democratic hoax or an effort by political opponents to distract from his administration's successes or damage him politically. In comments responding to survivors and lawmakers, this is reported by PBS, in comments responding to survivors and lawmakers on Capitol Hill, he labeled the controversy over releasing more documents a hoax. He also dismissed the push as a political ploy, criticizing both supporters and critics using similar language. All right, this section now is I'm going to go through some of the allegations that have been made against him. And then we can start to put the pieces together. Don't forget, this is the same guy who bragged about grabbing women by the pussy. All right? E. Jean Carroll, national level writer and advice columnist, alleged that Trump raped her in the Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room in the mid-1990s. She sued Trump for defamation and battery. A jury found him liable for essay and defamation. A judge clarified that the conduct was tantamount to grape, quote, as commonly understood under modern definitions, though not under a narrow statutory definition. MAGA. Does the camera need to be in the room? Because every time this conversation comes up, you say, what evidence? Does a camera need to be in the room? Did there need to be a camera in the Bergdorf Goodman in the Bergdorf Goodman dressing room for you to believe it? Jane Doe, minor, a woman who used the pseudonym a girl who used a pseudonym. Again, this is from PBS as well. A girl who used a pseudonym Jane Doe filed a lawsuit alleging Trump raped her when she was 13 at an event in 1994. The suits were filed and later withdrawn before advancing due to procedural issues and safety concerns for the victims. Their lives were threatened. Ivana Trump, Trump's first wife, in a 1990s divorce deposition and later published accounts, she used the word grape to describe an incident with Trump, but later softened the language and clarified she did not mean it in a literal criminal sense. Initial story was that it was so bad that he pulled her hair out. Interesting that Ivana is buried at Bedminster, right? Just a coincidence. Here's some other notable accusers. Jessica Leeds alleged that Trump groped her breasts and tried to put his hand up her skirt on a plane. That's from The Guardian. Trigger warnings. Temple Taggart, former Miss Utah, alleged that Trump forcibly kissed her at Miss USA and later in Manhattan. Did there need to be a camera for that? Amy Doris, former model who said Trump forced a kiss and groped her at the U.S. Open. Did there need to be a camera for that? Kristen Anderson accused Trump of putting his hand up her skirt in a Manhattan nightclub. Did there need to be a camera for that? Jill Harth, makeup artist who sued Trump in the late 1990s alleging groping, kissing, and attempted rape. Natasha Stoynoff alleged that Trump forcibly kissed and pushed her against a wall during a 2005 interview at Mar-a-Lago. Karina Virginia alleged that Trump groped her at the U.S. Open in 1998. Alva Johnson, former Trump campaign HR executive, said he kissed her without her consent. Stacey Williams alleged Trump groped her while Jeffrey Epstein watched in 1993. Does a camera need to be there? We know that, by and large, conservatives, especially conservative men and a lot of conservative women, just don't believe women. And a lot of the women that I see that host these lives that say none of this is true, many of them were likely assaulted themselves. I think the number is 1 in 3. Right? If we just fucking believed women, we wouldn't have to have these conversations. The President of the United States is a predator. The President of the United States has abused women on multiple occasions, and we have enough information to know that he, in fact, abused children as well. He raped his first wife, cheated on his first wife with his second wife, cheated on his second wife with his third wife, cheated on his third wife with a porn star, lied about it. Also, what's her name? Karen, I can't think of her last name. What's the I forget the strategy that they use with the National Enquirer, kill and chill, something like that. Karen McDougal, thank you. Yep, Karen McDougal. Yep. But nothing to see here, right? It's all fake. They're all hoaxes. Nothing to see. Okay. Just a little bit of to summarize some of the information from the files that were released. Talking about references, we know that his name was mentioned more than anybody else's, with the exception of Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell. In the initial public phase, this is from ABC, in the initial public phase, phase 1, release of the Epstein-related documents by the Department of Justice, Trump's name appeared 9 times across release pages. In the newer documents, more recent DOJ releases included multiple mentions of Trump in emails and other materials, such as records about his flights on Epstein's private jet and other references, but these reports do not give a precise total count, even though the president claimed numerous times that he was never on Jeffrey's jet, even though there are pictures. But I'm sure that that's fake news, right? That's a hoax too? Okay. And a search of documents from the estate of Epstein made public via Congress reports at least 1,500 instances of Trump's name in the data set. But that count comes from the estate documents, not the DOJ's official investigative files. So think about that. 1,500 references just from what the estate had, not even from what the DOJ is in possession of. And what do we have? Millions more? Millions more documents that have yet to be released? Like millions? It's 1,500 and what's released so far, and we've only gotten 1%? Okay. Flight logs, passenger manifests, trips to Mar-a-Lago. Keep in mind, the right likes to hold on the fact that, oh, he didn't go to the island. Well, a lot of the allegations of crimes against him happened in New York. That's where Maria Farmer talked about it. Why would you, why the change in story from what the initial claim was about why the relationship ended? Nothing to see here? Okay. Got it. Just making sure I understood. Just making sure I understood. Yeah, I know. Some girls did come from Mar-a-Lago. That's the whole point. It was a hub. And from what we learned from the Sasha Riley interviews, he seemed like the kingpin. And that it seems almost like an employee-employer relationship between he and Jeffrey, that Donald was the kingpin. Again, allegations. And allegations. This goes so fucking deep, people don't even understand how deep this goes. They just don't. They just don't, and they don't care. More importantly. Does a camera need to be in the room? Even then, will you believe it? Will you just say it's AI? The same people that are so concerned about protecting girls, men in women's sports. Okay. Hey, Drew.
Hey, buddy. I just wanted to point one thing out, too. Just kind of go along with what you're talking about. That's why they make a big deal of how he never went to the island, this and that. Trump sees himself as the apex predator. That's how he sees himself.
Indeed.
He also is extremely good at, and this is why we still have him in office and why he's gotten away with so much in his life. He is extraordinarily talented at, and I've said it before, plausible deniability, getting himself out of situations, putting himself in a situation where he benefits, but he can deny it later. He knew, what was going on that island. He also knew that Jeffrey kept records. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So people who want to say, "Oh, he didn't go to the island," he didn't go to the island as much as other people. I'm gonna say that he did at some point, but he didn't go as often as other people because he knew it would leave a trail, and also because he thought himself as the apex. He said, "You're going to bring to me. I don't go to you. You come to me." And correct. I think that's where that argument dies out right there, because
I agree.
That's how he gets away with things. So that's all I wanted to add just in that section. You're doing a great job, buddy. Keep it up.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
Thanks.
I would agree. I mean, to be honest, it makes more sense now when we look at it that way, right? You bring them to me. He talks about this, that sound I played for you earlier about how girls are coming to him, right? Boys in some cases, the Sasha Riley situation, right? So again, this is just, I want to play this little bit of sound that I didn't play before. This is about the island.
Mr. President.
And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people, nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
I never had the privilege? You never had the privilege?
And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned.
Okay. Just want to make sure I heard that properly. I've got a couple more bits of sound here I want to play for you. Hang on one sec. I think I played this one, but I'm not sure.
Right, so at the time you threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, can you settle that? What was it about? What caused the breach with him?
That's such old history. Very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth.
Mr. President,
and by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want.
In one of your very good moments, you turned it down. Yeah, I didn't want to explain it. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. I don't know what to say about this, right? I mean, this story just guts me because these people are going to get away with it. They're going to get away with it because they always get away with it. Because powerful men, connected men, predominantly white men get away with all kinds of shit. They always get away with it. It guts me to think about it. I think about the names that we just mentioned. I think about the survivors. I think about Virginia Dufresne. I think about Katie Johnson, her pseudonym. I think about Maria Farmer. I think about Stacey Williams. I think about all of them, right? We have a federal law. We have a federal law that orders the Department of Justice to release this information. And they don't give a fuck. They're just not going to release it. The government's going to shut down in 10 days. Trump's going to let the government shut down so people can stop talking about it. Then they'll say, well, we can't release this information because the government shut down. And they'll say, well, the Democrats don't really want the file. Oh, here's a prediction for you. Here's a prediction. Democrats don't really want the files released because if they did, they wouldn't shut the government down. You mark my fucking words. That's what's going to happen. You mark my words. That's exactly what's going to happen. Here we are. Here we are. They have broken two laws. I just read you the law. The first law they broke was everything was supposed to be released in 30 days. That date was December the 19th. That was the 30 days. 15 days after that, Pam Bondi was supposed to release any and all reasons or justification as to why something was redacted. That didn't happen either. So that's what's going to happen. The survivors in this case will never get justice. They'll never get justice. I don't know what to say other than I will not stop talking about this story because it's too important. Instead, we have a fucking madman, a dementia-riddled old man who doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself, who wants to build arches in D.C., who wants gold-embossed ballrooms, who wants to just take Greenland. There'll be fall guys. You know, Pam Bondi will take the fall. She'll have to. Others will too. Mike Johnson You know, the same people. And this is the worst part. This is the worst part. This, to me, is just the slap in the face to survivors of sexual assault and rape everywhere, is that Mike Johnson, a man of God, still uses bullshit fucking rhetoric to say that Democrats and don't protect kids and men and women's sports. Fucking miss me with that fucking bullshit. So as in an effort to protect predators, our government decides it's important to pass legislation to basically marginalize the trans community even more. Even more. Even more. They're not diminished enough. They're not assaulted enough. They're not attacked enough. They're not belittled enough. They're not demeaned enough. Let's just double down and make it impossible for them to compete in sports. They don't give a fuck. What's the numbers? There are more predators in Donald Trump's cabinet than there are trans athletes in sports. Yeah, I said it. It's true. Here we sit. Here we sit. Here we sit. We've got the biggest scandal, arguably the biggest scandal. Well, I think it's easily the biggest scandal in U.S. political history, but arguably the world. Because this touches so many people. We have no fucking idea how big this goes. The one thing that Q might have gotten right in their bullshit was this global cabal. It touches everybody. It touches everyone. And who are the ones that pay the price? Not the people that committed the crimes. No. They're protected. It's the victims. It's the survivors. I mean, there's 1,400 people in here and a lot of queens. And based on the numbers, many of you have been assaulted. Many of you have been raped. Many of you have been abused. And you know the story. You're not believed. That's why many don't report. But MAGA needs a camera in the room. They need a camera. They need more evidence than testimony. They need more evidence than court records. Jury verdicts aren't enough. They don't care that the overwhelming majority of political violence, for example, comes from the right. They don't care about the highest incidences of domestic violence exist in red states. They don't care. They don't care that the overwhelming majority of sexual-related crimes against women and children come from white men. They don't care. They just don't care. I care. Most people in this community care. I don't ever mean to traumatize people. I don't ever mean to bring up PTSD related to the violence committed against you. And I'm sorry that happens. And I've always thought long and hard about this. Like, how do we cover this story without re-traumatizing people? I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can. I apologize, if it does. But I don't know how else we cover it. I don't know how else we expose this unless we talk about it. I don't. It's not easy. Because the last thing I want to do is traumatize people. There's people that are close to me that I know, that I love, that I care greatly about, who have been victims. And the last thing I want to do, because I think about them, I see their faces when we talk about this shit. Like, how is this going to affect this person? How is this going to affect that person? I think about my daughter, 18 years old, about to be in college across the country, right? We have these conversations all the time. They always talk about people who ride motorcycles, right? There's two kinds of people who ride motorcycles, those that have put them down and those that will. And it feels like we are now in a situation where you've either already been sexually assaulted or raped, or you will be. That's what it feels like. And we've got tens of millions of people in our country who don't give a fuck. Who just don't fucking care. And the gaslighting, and like I said to start the show, 9 cents. 9 cents a gallon for gas. 9 cents. We're going to protect predators because of 9 cents. We're going to protect people who violated the most treasured things on earth, our children. 9 cents. It's never going to change. It's never going to change as long as men are in power. It's never going to change. It will not get better. It will not get better. It will get worse. Because the more and more white privileged men get away with it, the more they're going to do it. It's never going to change. Good morning, Johnny. How are you today?
Good morning, Steve. Can you hear me okay? I hope I don't have an echo.
What's up?
Okay.
No, I got you.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in and tell you how much I appreciate everything that you've done on this live for people, for educating people. I don't think a lot of people understand how hard it is what you do. I mean, we hear it, but to actually get out and do it. This is my first time on a live. I've always wanted to start my own live, and I just have not been able to make myself do it. And unfortunately, I'm never going to on TikTok because today is my last day. I am not going to be a part of Larry Ellison's Oracle data collecting and whatever, shenanigans that they have planned with Planeteer and whatnot. So I wanted to, sorry, I'm a little nervous, but I wanted to give you your flowers, and we've bumped heads. I know you know that. And I also kind of wanted to bring up what I really meant, because I couldn't convey, in so many characters on a chat why I disagreed with something so intently with you. That kind of sounds like something we should adhere to, and that is not asking for perfection from our candidates. And I disagree with that in a sense. When I disagree with you in the sense that we have 3 years until that moment. And until we get to the actual time where we have selected a candidate in the primaries, I think it is our duty as left-leaning liberals, Democrats, communists, leftists, socialists, whatever you are, to demand perfection from our candidates, at least in the sense of humanitarian purposes. We should be striving for all humanitarian rights for every single person, no matter if you agree with what they are or not. And those are the demands that I am making for my candidates for the primaries. Without any bones, I will not budge. Now, when we get to the general, that's a different story. Now we can't demand perfection anymore. We have what we have. And then you make your decision wisely at that point, and you use harm reduction, and you save as many people as you can. That is the standpoint that I was coming from. I don't believe that you sit out of an election or you go third party because you disagree in instances like this when the choice is fascism or democracy. And I just wanted to let you know that, because it's bugged me that I haven't been able to tell you exactly what I meant by all that and why, I was hemming and hawing in the comments. And I know I'm a bit much in the comments. I know everyone probably thinks I'm absolutely unhinged and wild. I'm not. I'm a troll. I hate maggots, and I'm going to drag them at every opportunity I can. And so that's why you might see me down there sounding like an unhinged lunatic. I'm not. I'm a very empathetic, caring person who wants all of this world and all of the people in it to strive and be connected to one another like we were intended to be. And so I just want everyone to know, I know I might have an MO in your lives, and in Jay's live especially, I get a little more froggy in there.
You're good.
That, I'm not that guy, and I'm just having fun and putting the blame and the shame where it deserves to be. And so I'm sorry I just soapboxed on your live. I didn't mean to do that, but I really wanted to give you your flowers and explain myself. And I'm not maybe what some people might have pegged me to be. So I just wanted you to know that.
No sweat, bro. I appreciate that. And thanks for sharing that. And thanks for coming up today. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
Thank you. You too.
See ya.
Bye.
It's a valid point. It's a valid point. I think the challenge, I think, for those of us who want better from our elected officials is that the reason I don't say, I don't want to say this. I don't demand perfection from myself, right? Maybe when I was younger. That's the problem being a Virgo sometimes, somebody who's driven ADHD. So why would we demand perfection from somebody that we vote for? Let me unpack that for a second. If we want more people to be involved in politics, like if we want regular, everyday folks to represent us, then we got to take the good with the bad, right? We have to. We can't expect them, if we want them to resemble us, if we want them to look like us, if we want them to be like us, tatted up, nose rings, bad back, whatever that might be. If we want that, then we're going to have to accept some of the skeletons. Now, we can all determine what those skeletons are, what we won't accept. I think we all know what those are. But if somebody's got some questionable things in their past, or they said something that was not appropriate 20 years ago, are we going to continue to hold those things over people's heads? That's for you to make. That's the determination for you to make. But ask yourself, like if you said something questionable 20 years ago, and you've worked since then to try to make yourself better, to make your life better, to make your presence in your community better, then wouldn't we want that grace for ourselves, right? So I guess I would just ask people that because I want better representation. There's a gentleman, I can't think of his name now. It literally just slipped my brain. He does an analysis on, he says, is your congressperson or your senator a piece of shit? You think I know the guy I'm talking about. And he does this scale as to how much individual donations that they take, or how much money they take from PACs. And I like the way that he breaks that down. We know it takes millions of dollars to run for an election. We get it. I understand that. If we want to flip that script, then we have to be more actively engaged. We have to be more willing to accept some negativity. It's not perfect. Politics is dirty. Politics is dirty. I get it. Gifting suspended again. That's fine. Whatever. We're almost at the end anyway. But I guess I just would ask people, and I appreciate what Johnny said, and I get it. I totally get it. I understand that. But I guess what I'm going to try to say in summary, hold your elected officials to the same standard you would hold yourself. Right? I don't think it should be any more complicated than that. If you can hold yourself to a high standard, then sure, you can hold your elected official to a high standard, but we all make mistakes. We're all fucking human. We're all human. The whole goal, what I always teach my kids, right, is be accountable for what you did and learn from it, right? You fucked up. We're all stupid. We all make stupid mistakes, right? Just if you make a mistake about something, just be accountable. If you do something wrong, if you lie about something, or exactly, Tay-Tay, I want humans. I just want people who are fucking human. Be accountable for the things that you've done in your life. Own it. What did you learn? We would always have these conversations on Sunday night dinner. What did we learn this week? Right? My kids it became such a habit that they would bring it up. Dad, you want to know what I learned this week? Yes. What did you learn this week? What are you going to do differently the next time? Oftentimes it was all positive. Sometimes it was like, yeah, I made this mistake in class and I wish I didn't do it. What did I learn? How did you learn it? So I guess that's my hope for everyone, right? Now, the situation with the Oracle takeover, I know that there's a lot of people that depend on us here. And I'm not in a position yet where we can entirely pull the plug on a relationship with this particular app. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here the next day. We'll be here days after that. We have a master plan to try to do certain things differently. I'm trying to be very speaking code language here. We have a master plan. We're on that. We're working on that. It's always been in the back of my mind, but this format works for us because it's the engagement. I'm not the most technically savvy individual in the world. I rely on a lot of people to help me make this happen every single day. Hearts in the chat for Sam because she runs our YouTube and she runs our Twitch for us. So we're staying here. We're staying here. But we do stream to YouTube and we do stream to Twitch every single day. So that's what we'll be, same time, same place tomorrow morning. Before we end today, though, I want to say this. To Johnny's point and to Drew's point, this is not easy to cover. It takes its toll on me because I know I can only imagine what it must be like on the other side for women who've been assaulted by men, by predatory men, to be like, here we are again. Here we are once again. People that commit these crimes are going to get away with it. And then we always ask ourselves, or people on the right will say, well, why didn't they just report? And we know why women don't report. And in this case, they're girls. What are girls supposed to do? What are boys supposed to do? What are people like Sasha Riley? What's Sasha Riley supposed to do other than tell a story and he won't believe because what? There's no camera in the room? That's what this is about, right? It's just, we are in a culture, it's not just here, it's globally. Men with power always win. They always win. They always win. It's why I want the matriarchy. Again, we talked about the SAVE Act earlier today. Queens in the chat. Men are afraid of you. What are you going to do with it? We're starting to see more and more women running for political office. They're afraid of you. They don't want you to have power. First of all, they don't think you're smart enough. They don't think you're capable enough. But that's what they tell you. But deep down inside, they're afraid of you. They are deathly afraid of you. They are shaking in their boots. The mediocre white men in particular. The mediocre white men on their best day are afraid of you. A lot of you now are, of millennial age or older, and I'm counting on you to help make my 18-year-old daughter's life better. Because I can't trust men to do it. I can't. So from girl dad to girl moms out there, let them be afraid. Prove it. Show them how afraid they should be. So here we are, January the 21st, 2026. We've got elections that are happening. We've got a massive midterm. We've got conversations about a boycott. Whatever you feel like you can do, just fucking do it. Just do it. I don't care what it is. I don't care. Just do something different. I want a matriarchy. I want to see it before I die. I don't know if I will. I want to. I desperately want to. I look at other communities around the world and other countries around the world, and I see what they have. And you know what? 9 out of 10 cases, they're led by women. That's what I want to see. Get fucking men out of positions of power, because every time they get it, they'll just abuse it. That's why women choose the fucking bear every fucking time. I want you to be angry. I want it to fuel you. I want it to turn your anger into action. I want you to do something. I want you to think about this live today and what we went through and the amount of energy, effort, money, and rhetoric that these people have used to cover up crimes against children, girls and boys, diminishing them. I don't believe it. Even if there's a camera in the room, they still wouldn't fucking believe it. Power is in your hand. Whether you believe that democracy and voting can help, everything can help. Is voting enough? Hell no. Is it something we all can do? Abso-fucking-lutely it is. Abso-fucking-lutely it is. It's something that we all can do. It doesn't take much. Those margins are so slim, it doesn't take much. Find what it is that you care about. Find something that you stand for, and stand 10 fucking toes down. 20 toes down. 50 toes down. Hi, Feisty.
Good morning, Steve. I want to say one thing to the women who hear this. I'm 76 years old. I'm a boomer. And us boomers, us female boomers, we're supposed to cower down to the men. I'll be damned. In my 76 years have I cowered down to a man, and I'll be damned if I ever will. And I want these young ladies, well, those younger than I am, to do the same thing. If we don't, we have, and we see where it has not gotten us, but where it has gotten us. So, women, don't cower down to men. These white, YT men, like Steve said, mediocre men, don't cower down to them, please. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Feisty. I know you got a storm coming your way, so be safe down there, okay?
Okay, thanks, Steve. You take care.
Thank you. See you later, you too. Speaking of that, there's like massive storm coming across the country. You know, it was like I said, it was 4 degrees with like 7 degrees last night, minus 11 with the wind chill or minus 5 with the wind chill, a typical Tuesday. But y'all aren't prepared for this. So please be safe. Please be careful out there. Thank you all for being here. I know that was a lot today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Maz, can you guys let me know who we should raid? I'd appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. Jess, Sam, thank you. I saw that note. Again, is Jay live? Yeah, let's go raid RTP. Please head on over there. Somebody else is trying to do the work to inform people. I want to leave folks with this. All right. It is by design what this administration is doing, not only to protect the predators in their midst, but to scare you, to intimidate you. And I want to call out people on the left that are saying, oh, they're not going to have elections. That's fear mongering. Don't listen to them. Fuck them, in fact. If you want to believe that, then this is the wrong place for you. Notice I haven't talked about this. I laugh it off. Of course they're going to tell you that. Of course they're going to tell you that they're not going to have elections or the president's going to saber rattle. We need to pay attention. We're going to fucking pay attention. Of course we are. But don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. They want you to be scared. They want you to be intimidated. What you need to do is say, fuck that. You need to join arm in arm with the queens that are standing next to you and shut up. Good trouble? No, I'd say fucking bad trouble. Fuck shit up. I love you all. Go rate RTP. Tell me we said hello, and we'll see you tomorrow. You guys are the best chat on TikTok, no doubt. Smartest chat on TikTok. I have the best fucking mods in the business, and I'm grateful. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, friends. Please do something. No matter what it is, just do something. Cool?